We're officially on the road to the holiday season, and the lovable 3rd Street Saints are joining in the festivities with new DLC. Also tonight, GaymerX founder Matt Conn joins us to talk about his Kickstarter for a Snatcher-inspired adventure game. Your questions, comments, calls on the show where every video gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio.
I just said that.
I know you did, and I'm saying it again. Live on this December 1st, 2013, episode number 529. Welcome to the show. We're here to talk about video games, gaming culture, the gamer lifestyle, gamer lols, and who knows what else with my co-hosts, Dark Sakura or Jamie Summers.
Does that mean he said it dead and now he's undead?
He said it out of turn is what he said. Fired! It's fine. All right.
Blah.
How are you doing? Dark Sakura, we missed you last week. Welcome back.
I wish I was here last week because it was fucking loud.
Yeah?
We went to this place called the Yard House,
Yeah, it's
which
like a restaurant.
we were discussing before.
Not like super fancy pants, but a little fancy.
I ate something incredibly non-kosher, and it was delicious. It was a surf and turf burger without the bun.
Well, and happy Hanukkah, Jamie.
Happy Hanukkah to me! It is the 5th night. I will be lighting my candles when I return home.
How did Hanukkah's giving, or whatever? Thanksgiving, yes. So how did Thanksgiving treat you?
It was fucking loud, too. Okay, well, we went to have Thanksgiving dinner at you remember Dan's buddy Adam, right? Mm-hmm. We went over there, and there were the kids and Dan's cousins, and brought the kids too, and there was a bunch of little people in fucking sports ball. I hate sports ball.
Unless it's DDR.
And I say it with extra Southern accent because all I heard about yesterday was Alabama-Auburn, no one Kerr.
But you do love Tecmo Bowl, right? There's some sports ball you can tolerate. I know that.
Some. I used to date a rugby player, and that was pretty awesome.
All right. Also say hello as well to Loki is here in studio. How you doing, Techmaster Loki?
Doing fine.
Yeah?
Trying to figure out where these phantom stain spots came from. Like, it looks like something dripped on my
So the phantom
pizza
hourglass.
sauce.
It's not pizza sauce.
It's grease.
It must be for the breadsticks, but they're not that greasy. I mean, they are greasy, but they're not that greasy. Like, I didn't notice any grease dripping off of them.
So one of Loki's, Loki always brings an interesting dining selection to the show, and it's sometimes fast food. It's become a bit of a betting game amongst the live OLR listeners. What he brings to the show. So tonight he brought he goes to the pizza place. He doesn't get pizza. He gets just a mass of breadsticks. They are really good breadsticks, so I will say that. If you have Round Table Pizza in your area and you've had the breadsticks, they are really good. I'm not going to lie. But, it's probably oil or something. Yeah. Anyway.
It's cheese.
Cheese or something. It's cheesy. It keeps Loki cheesy, y'all. All right.
It's not easy.
Also joining us in studio, I know you heard him a minute ago, and he is back this week. Say hello to the voice of the show, Jason.
It's me yet again.
Yeah, how you doing, Jason?
Doing good.
Yeah,
been a good couple of days. Been a good 4-day weekend.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving as well? I know you're.
I did Friendsgiving. Coworkers of mine invited me over, and there was about 20 of us. Anybody that follows me on Twitter may have seen this story that I started to come up with. A Twitter, Apple, Google, and GitHub employee sat around the table, and I don't really have a joke to fill into the end of that, but I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. Some Silicon Valley wag.
Friendsgiving is a lot of fun. So
it was very good.
Yeah, it was a good time. I had kind of a late Friends. Well, not you know what I did last night. I went and saw Grandpa from Horde House. If you know my other show, Horde House, that I do about all things online gaming, but never too seriously. Wednesdays, I went and hung out with Grandpa last night in what I think is becoming a bit of a post Thanksgiving tradition for us, where we go, we visit, and then we go out and drink. So
I heard you got super drunk.
I'm a little. Well, you must read my Twitter because I wrote some really stupid stuff last night.
No. Grandpa posted it on Facebook.
Okay. Well, you know me and my alcohol tolerance, of which I have none, right? Because I usually don't drink. I'm usually the sober one. But visiting Grandpa in the city, we were able to take cabs and all that stuff. I had 7 drinks last night, and it was a lot of fun. I'm good, but I am feeling a little bit like if I'm dragging a little bit today, I blame that. I blame Friendsgiving with drinks. Good times.
Is that the new Zynga game?
Friendsgiving with drinks, possibly. All right, we have a busy show tonight. We have a lot of news to get into as well. Also joining us a little later on in the show in about 20 minutes, the founder of a convention I talked a lot about here on Orange Lounge Radio because I went and I helped out with a panel there. GaymerX. Matt Conn is the founder of GaymerX, and he's actually going to be on the show tonight in about 20 minutes to talk about a new Kickstarter that actually has nothing to do with conventions, but it is kind of neat because it's inspired by an old, we love old classic video games here at OLR. How many, show of hands, who remembers the old video game Snatcher? Yep, almost every hand in the room went up.
Who has Snatcher?
Yeah. Well, Matt's latest Kickstarter for his company Midboss Games is a game that's about a futuristic San Francisco that is heavily inspired by Snatcher. So he's going to come on, talk a little bit about that. And, of course, if he's going to be, I have to ask him about GaymerX. I want to know about GaymerX too. So we gotta ask some of those questions. So we will get to those questions and your questions live in our chat room at live.vognetwork.com in about 20 minutes or so. But first, we're going to get to Gaming Weeks and all that, but I do want to get to a kickoff topic as well. This one's a little bit more of a serious note. This is housekeeping of sorts, IDK, what you want to call it. But we got to talk a little bit about last week. I thought we had a great show last week. We had a lot of fun here on the show last week, even though you weren't here.
How could it be awesome?
Well, it wasn't our best ever, I'll be honest. Dark Soccer, it couldn't
you
have been our
need
best.
To balance it out, huh?
But we did get feedback from multiple sources on last week's show that maybe felt that, some of the discussion we had last week might have been a little bit off. And so it is the show where every gamer has a voice, so I want to entertain some of this feedback, and I want to kind of respond to it a little bit respectfully. I'm gonna call this one out because it was publicly posted to our Facebook, and by calling out, I just mean I'm selecting it to read it on air, not like I'm calling you out. Blackrex, 3:00. No, because I do appreciate the feedback. It is the show where every gamer has a voice. So I want to read this post that came to our Facebook. It's from Carla O. is the name on Facebook, and it says, "I think I might stop listening to the show if it becomes PlayStation centric, which it's starting to seem that way." And that was the comment. I was really trying to think what in last week's show might have given the impression that we were PlayStation centric. And I was really thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? In gaming culture as of late anyway, things have definitely seemed to be tilting in PlayStation's favor as a whole. And I'm looking at the big picture here. And I'm trying to think, why is that? Well, that's because Microsoft has been playing a little bit of a game of catch up, PR, fix mistakes ever since E3, right? And obviously they launched the Xbox One. We kicked off last week's show. Loki had some choice words for the Xbox One. I felt what Loki was saying, and even kind of listening back to it, I didn't think it was anything that I haven't seen in other internet places. I think they're voices I'm hearing other places. Again, every gamer has a voice. These are what some gamer voices are saying. Not everything out there is positive. But I was trying to think, was that really making us PlayStation centric? I'm not sure. So I did respond.
Nobody am on Sony's payroll now.
Stop. No, you're not. All right, but I did respond, and I gave an answer basically similar to what I'm telling you guys now. We try to treat everything fairly, and one thing I did point out, as I said, I know you probably haven't been listening to this show, but if you go back to 2006, and this is definitely a way I kind of feel in general, if we go back to 2006, the roles were almost reversed. I mean, coming out of E3 that year, Sony was the laughing stock of the entire gaming industry. Giant enemy crabs, $599 US, $599. We all remember that, right? And I know I've made this comparison on the show before, is that we're almost sitting in a place now where we're looking at the complete flip of that. Microsoft had one of those E3s this year that they've been trying to recover from, and PlayStation, we had something very interesting happen at E3 this year. Let's think back, you guys. This is something we have not seen in a long time in this industry, ever since the ads in the magazines that say Sega does what Nintendo don't. We did not see something of the caliber of Jack Tretton getting up on stage and saying, we believe that gamers should be able to I forget his direct quote, but we believe that gamers should be able to, once they buy the disc, the purchase is there. Once he did that systematic dismantling at E3 of everything the internet didn't like about Microsoft. And so that was an attack we haven't seen the likes of in a long time. So that made things very interesting. But anyway,
we don't even have to go back that far. We just have to go back 2 weeks ago where you canceled your PS4 pre-order.
True, but I don't necessarily blame Sony for that. I just necessarily blame, and I think this is the boat we're all in right now of we're just not ready for this next generation of game yet. And it goes back to the golden rule of gaming. A system is only as good as the games that are on it. And for me, personally, I look at what the PlayStation 4 has and at what the Xbox One has, and I say, nothing there for me yet.
Well, Dan and I swore off system and phone launches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm getting my 5S at the end of the year.
Right.
Instead of, right when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably getting our PS4 in February.
Mm-hmm.
And we've pretty much decided that just because more stuff that we want to do is out on it and it fits in better with the things that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Right.
To tell you what train that I'm on the Turbo Duo train, 16-bit forever, Hue cards. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I wrote kind of a response along those lines. Carla wrote back, and I do want to read this here. It says, but most of the negative criticism is focused on 2 out of those consoles. I can understand everyone has their favorite console, but if the show focuses on all gaming platforms, it should reflect that in the show content. Lately, there has been a ton of negativity thrown at one console, and that is pretty much what I hear in every other podcast. OLR was the exception, but not as of late, which makes me sad because I enjoy this show more than most. Thanks for the reply. And you know what? Thank you for engaging in respectful dialogue. I really love these types of conversations as opposed to what you used to see in the old YouTube comments. Fuck you, you fucking fuck, right? So I really appreciate kind of the respectful dialogue there. As far as it goes, I can see where maybe last week, maybe kicking the Xbox the day after they launched maybe wasn't the most tactful thing to do, but it's also kind of a realist view of where some people's heads are at. And I say this in general, and I'm going to come back to this theme a little bit later on tonight. I do like to think that we are fair to everybody. There's going to be good days for gaming companies. There's going to be bad days for gaming companies. And we're part of that voice out there on the internet that talks about that. And, just like, let's take Nintendo for an example. We've talked a lot of Sony, we've talked a lot of Microsoft. We haven't talked a lot of Nintendo. Nintendo absolutely has had their good days and their bad days. And we've talked about, we try to razz them both on this show. For example, bad days. The swap note disabling. What? That was, and that just feeds into the whole Nintendo, you do not understand online, that whole thing, right? But then on the good side of Nintendo, dude, Nintendo released 2 Game of the Year contenders on the same day in the new Mario 3D World and Zelda Link Between Worlds. That's a very good thing. I mean, those are Game of the Year contenders. Granted, it's going to be a rough ride to the top when you've got BioShock Infinite and Last of Us also this year, but let's not neglect that those are 2 rock-solid games that came out on the same day. That's good news. So, and I could think of cases for Sony and Microsoft as well. I do want to encourage the listeners, continue to, if you feel like your voice is not being represented, by all means, speak up. We want to hear where you're coming from. If you think that, maybe we're neglecting something about the Xbox One that needs to be brought to the forelight, please bring it up on the show. I don't think we've ever said to somebody, you know what? You're wrong in your opinion. I like to think we haven't said that. Maybe we sometimes riff on each other and yell at each other a little bit. Maybe have said that, but we don't really want to tell people they're wrong, right? Am I right? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
good.
I've been meaning to talk to you about Mass Effect, but
You know what?
Shut up. You
know
go to
what?
hell.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You can't deny a
Now
fact.
that you are wrong on.
You cannot deny a fact.
All right, but anyway, I might be dragging this out way too much, but I just want to say, guys, again, we're here to present some other perspectives, and sometimes that's our perspective, and sometimes that's your perspective. And one thing I want to challenge our listeners to do, I don't think I got my thought out on this, is that sometimes in gaming we tend to live in this bubble. And it's the way you see it and the things. And I'm not saying this particular listener is that way. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general, gamers, gaming, look at comments on websites and tell me you don't think this about some people. Some gamers tend to live in their little bubble, and they can't really see outside that bubble. How could somebody possibly want an Xbox One? How could somebody possibly want to spend $100 extra on this system with this device you don't need? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, look outside that bubble. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's that game. And I'll tell you, for me personally, next year is going to suck for my wallet because I'm going to have to buckle and get a PlayStation 4 when they release Final Fantasy XIV. The Elder Scrolls beta, the new Infamous looks really good. There's a lot of stuff on PlayStation. Then on Xbox 360, guess what? When they release a new Halo, when they release Quantum Break, I got to pick up an... Did I say 360? I meant Xbox One. When they release all that, I got to get an Xbox One as well. So my wallet's going to be hurting next year. I'm just waiting for those games. All right. I do want to introduce our chat room, live.vognetwork.com, because we do tape live, of course, every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern at the Voice of Geeks Network, www.vognetwork.com. And I'm trying to look at what some of the chatters are saying here.
We've been discussing physics.
So on task, apparently. I'm seeing talk about gigantic monitors and whatever is going on there.
Because I said that I should be on NEC's payroll, and someone asked if they still exist. And then we started talking about
they make printers and stuff, right?
Yeah, but they made like these great flat screen CRT monitors that were perfect for doing color matching. I mean, it was almost like a print match. It was so great. And of course, you can't really get a CRT monitor anymore.
Let's see. SJ100 Matt says, I remember the beginning of last generation. OLR was accused of being anti-Sony, as well, a lot of internet was. Brad says, talk about what you know. We bought the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, so that is what we can talk about. And you're right. We can talk about our particular reasons and so forth. And then let's see. Some folks in chat, some various people talking about kind of the whole Microsoft and what happened recently with some of the bans they were doing, which we're going to get into a little later in the show. Loki, again, you don't have to apologize by any means for what you said last week, because I got to admit, I think you brought up some points that, are worth thinking about and why there is some resistance to the Xbox One. But now they've had a week to kind of simmer on it and Black Friday going on and so forth. Where's your head at now with generally PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and all this?
I gotta say that sweet PlayStation 4 is a great value for this holiday at a retail price of $399. You can find it... Okay, I just don't want to do that because I'm not on their payroll. I really wish I was. You don't understand how much that would be so awesome to have actual pay. How do I see it? Like, my point last week was, and I guess it just didn't come through clearly enough, so I will speak more clearly on it. That I thought Microsoft should have addressed the way their defective systems were differently. And sure enough, a few days later, they finally came around and did it correctly. Like I said, address the situation, resolve it with your customers, instead of letting them speculate about what the problem is or how wide of an issue it is and stuff like that. That was my issue. They cleared it up.
So I'm hearing you want gaming companies to stop the smoke screen. Like,
yeah, if you don't say anything, people are going to expect the worst. Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. That Microsoft did it at the beginning of the Xbox 360 launch, kept playing down how many systems were affected by the red ring of death or whatever, and and people didn't believe them. Yeah, I don't believe you that a small percentage of them are being affected by it when I've had 6. It's just, it was ridiculous. So I don't know. I think I'm hard on everybody. And if I'm not, then I need to try harder.
You are, to be fair, you are pretty hard on everybody. When
you said hard on.
Shut up. But it is kind of part of the reason. I also see, granted, we had a lot of feedback to last week's show in that regard, but I also get other feedback that's like, I live for Loki rants. I am here for Loki rants. What pissed Loki off this week? I've got to have a rant. So, there's that on both sides.
There's been things. Let's put it that way.
Well, we'll see what we're going to get to tonight in tonight's show. But, again, I just wanted to respond. And even though I only read one comment there because it was something public on Facebook, I just wanted to say there was other, chatter. So, I hope, again, if you feel like there's a point that wasn't addressed, please, by all means, email the show, mailbag@orangeloungeradio.com. You can post on Facebook as too, Twitter, and all that. Let's get into quickly. We're going to have Matt on in about 10 minutes, so we have a little bit of time to do some of our gaming weeks, at least. Dark Sakura, you were out last week. What have you been gaming on the past couple weeks?
Final Fantasy 14, which every time I've logged on, no one's been on, so whatever. I...
Really? Because I'm on a lot.
Well, it's during the day, and you people have jobs.
Yeah.
I started my job, my contract work, so I'm very happy. But, I bought... Okay, actually, this is going to be a story, so maybe this will take the 10 minutes. Sure. Dan's birthday was Friday, on Black Friday, and we were like, last week, we need to do something really nice for Dan, so I was trying to get people who wanted to get in to buy Dan a present with me. And he had said, up and down, I don't want a download copy of Zelda, I want the physical copy, so I'm not going to get the package, blah, blah, blah. So, me and Becky and our cousin-in-law, Hannah, and George and Amanda all got together and we got the money together to order Dan a red 3DS XL, and I bought him Zelda. I went out and bought it. Turns out, while I'm sitting in the bank trying to get my business bank account set up so that I can work, Dan says, "Look what I bought!" Picture, gold, 3DS. And so I call him. I go, "You are so stupid." And this guy is like sitting next to me playing like Bejeweled on his phone, and he's laughing his ass off. Because so anyway, it ended up, they just gave the money for Dan to pay back what he paid on the thing, and we kept the physical copy. He gave the e-copy to George, and
I kind of thought like maybe you were going to do something where you bought the Zelda one and then like you sold the code to somebody else who really wanted it or something. I just kind of thought that's how things would go, but I like the way you guys did it.
And for the record, Bones, it actually was me because I was using me in a subjective context.
Grammar.
So
grammar
you never end with, you never use I as a subject. As a object.
There's a grammar throwdown going on in our chat room. Anyway.
Don't you dare step to me in my grammar.
All right, moving on. Come on.
I will conjugate you to death. Anyway, so as it turned out, George ended up picking up Fire Emblem for Dan because Dan loves his Fire Emblem, and Dan's been playing crap. I just forgot it. Ace Attorney. He's been really into it and hasn't been sleeping because he's doing the damn cases. Also, at any rate, what I've been playing is, since he beat Zelda in like 4 days, I'm playing it now, and I just finished the Eastern Palace, and I like a lot of the throwbacks to the Link to the Past. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it was a worthy purchase and one that we're both enjoying. So, as far as other things, I'm still playing the Stanley Parable off and on, just so, because there's so many different endings for it, but I don't want it to get stale, so I'm playing it a bit at a time. I bought a game called The Shiva, which is about a rabbi, and it's a kind of a horror story from what it looks like, or an investigative story, so like a mystery. So it looked interesting to me, and it was cheap. And then I bought some other game called 9.3M or something. I don't know. It was cheap too. And I've just been trying to get through what's in my Steam library. And, I've got a few more things on my list, so we'll see what happens. But my goal is to play a different game every week that's in my Steam library. My library.
That's a lofty goal because, those Steam libraries build up quick.
Well,
really
I've got enough games to play a different game every week for the next 10 years. So I think I'll be good.
I could do that easily for a year and a half. Even just uninstalled alone right now, I could do that for at least a year.
I could probably talk about my own Steam library, but I made a dent in the backlog this week, and I will get into that in just a little bit. But, Darkstalker, if you are done with your gaming week...
I am.
Then I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over to the phones, and we are going to get our buddy Matt Conn on the line. Matt Conn is the founder of GaymerX, and he is behind a new Kickstarter for Read Only Memories, a new cyberpunk adventure. So we're going to ask him about, what's going on with GaymerX and what's going on with this new game and how awesome is Snatcher and so forth. And I believe Matt is there. Matt, you on the line?
I am. Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm great. Welcome to Orange Launch Radio, Matt. Great to have you here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be on the show. I've really wanted to come on for a while, so I'm glad to...
Well, gosh, we should have had you on last time you had a Kickstarter to promote, because I gave a lot of money to that Kickstarter, and it was totally worth it. And thank you for putting that together, and I know you have a whole team behind you, and they all deserve kudos. GaymerX, I had a fantastic time at GaymerX, and that was a great experience, and I can't wait for GaymerX 2.
Awesome! We're really excited to have GaymerX 2 happening. When we didn't get the original GaymerX, we weren't sure if there would be the outcry for a second one, but people seem to have a really good time. So we're doing a second one, and we're really excited about it.
Awesome. If you guys have questions for Matt, you can join our chat room, live.vognetwork.com. I got some questions of my own here, and I'm sure some of us here in studio also have questions for him, but I will be throwing in some of your questions as well as we talk about GaymerX and your latest Kickstarter and so forth. Let me ask you a couple things about GaymerX. So there is a GaymerX 2. That is happening this year, right?
Yep.
Or this next year, 2014. And I noticed one of the things I noticed right away, you're like, the new venue is 3 times as big as the old one, right?
Yeah, so, people seem to really like the con last year, but I think that, a lot of our first-time kind of jitters showed off a little bit in that, we definitely overbooked the hotel. Like, it was really crowded, and we don't want people to feel, especially, with a crowd like we have, like, we don't want people to feel like it's, like, claustrophobic or, we want it to feel super comfortable and super homey, and by going to the Intercontinental, not only are we choosing a spot that's really easy for people who live in the Bay Area to get to because it's right off BART and all the major Muni lines, but also it's so much bigger. It's 3 times the size that, even if we grow, even double the size of attendees, we'll have more than enough space to, make sure they're all good and have a place to, hang out and chill.
What would you say besides, because obviously this whole thing was a real adventure for you, from the Kickstarter to the execution. And, overall, and everything I heard about it was, yeah, it was a little bit crowded, but you know what? Oh, what a problem for a first-year con to have, that there's just too much interest in it, right? So, most everything I was hearing was really, really positive about the convention, and that's how I left, pretty much feeling as well. What would you say from this whole experience, start to finish? What was the biggest lesson you learned that you could pass on to somebody else who's thinking about maybe starting something of their own in their town or something, for whatever the cause is?
I think that, I don't know, because the thing that I feel like I've learned the most is that, we went into GaymerX, or the original one, without having, any real convention experience behind us. And so we really overestimated the amount of, major sponsors that were going to come in. And we spent a lot more money bringing in terms of sponsorship. And so we were able to, have a really awesome convention, but we spent more money than we made, which is okay. But like, when you're running off of, like, we don't have any venture capitalists or anything, going into the red's kind of a scary thing. So I wish I had done better budgeting and also been a little bit more, like, I think, realistic with the fact that, because it was our first year, I think a lot of companies were scared to kind of come on as sponsors. And also we got a lot of people who were just kind of like, they were too afraid to kind of touch an LGBT thing. It didn't really fit their brand.
Interesting.
So, that's interesting. Yeah.
Huh. Well, now, okay, so unfortunately, I know our own Dark Soccer did not get to go to GaymerX, neither did Loki, but Dark Soccer's trying to make it at least this year, I'm hoping.
I hope so.
You got it. You got to come do a panel with me. I had a ton of fun. But our buddy here in studio, Jason, actually went to GaymerX.
I did.
And you are a straight male who went to GaymerX.
I very much am.
Were you persecuted? Because some of the comments you read on the internet are like,
I was scared and offended. No, not even a little bit. I mean, the short version of this is that I was having a discussion about a month ago about, like, the finer points, prejudices, and all this stuff, and I just kind of looked up and I said, screw the labels, be awesome to people. It was the quick summary.
Absolutely.
And I had a hell of a good time. I was around plenty of people that I knew. I met a couple people involved. The guy that was doing visuals during the performances on Friday and Saturday night, I wound up having a conversation with him. I took over the booth for my coworker so he could go out and get some lunch. I was talking to people for 30, 45 minutes. It was as good as all the rest of the cons that I've been to. Better, because it was even more... I go to anime cons, they're okay. It was more gaming-centric and tech-centric to an extent, and I had fun with it.
Awesome. Well, fun's what it's all about, right? Looking at our chat room at live.vognetwork.com, DK Popman says, I want to go to a con. And Codeman says, I wish I could go to these cons. Unfortunately, I know these guys don't live out here on the West Coast, so it's a little more of an investment. Rama says, a lot of straight people go to YowieCon. So,
Yes, they do.
all right. So let's see. I know you're really excited about GaymerX, Matt, but I know you also have this Kickstarter going on right now for this game ROM, or Read Only Memories, which is a cyberpunk adventure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this game?
Yeah, sure. So, at GaymerX, we had a really great time, and at the end of the GaymerX, we had, our kind of, dead dog, like, hey, tell us what you hated, or tell us your ideas. And the thing that kept coming up in the question and answer was, like, people were wondering when we were going to do a game. They really liked our mascots. And it got us to thinking about the fact that, like, we have some really cool mascots, and one of my big things is instead, I don't believe in complaining. I feel like I could go out and and no disrespect to people that do this, but I could campaign to boycott things or make a video series or do whatever. But I wanted to do something that I thought would create change, and so I wanted to create this safe space for queer gamers. And then in the same way, it's we are in a position where we could harass the EAs and the Nintendos and Sonys and be like, why are there no queer characters in games? But we decided, instead of doing that, let's just make a game that features gay and lesbian and queer and trans characters in meaningful ways, that isn't shoehorned in, that isn't a joke. And I think if it does well and we can show that to people, I think that we can kind of show the gaming world that that there is an audience for it. It's not that hard to do. If we could do it without any experience and just kind of starting from scratch, then you guys should be able to do it too. And more selfishly, I mean, we want to make a game. Who doesn't want to make a game?
I love that. Well, yeah, I remember one of the very popular panels at GaymerX was when one of the game designers got up there and said, "All right, everybody, we're going to make a game right now. You're all game designers." And I thought that was a really awesome approach to it, because I honestly looked at that and I went, "Oh my God, I wish I thought to do that for podcasting, because I'm so about getting more people to podcast and independent voices. That was such a good idea, And I thought that was so awesome. So yeah, make games. I think
you should do that next year.
I darn well might, Matt. I might be talking to you off air about that.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the cool things is I think you're mentioning Anna Etherbee's panel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So she did a game workshop where she was teaching everyone how to use Twine, which is this really easy to use system to make adventure games. So one of the cool things is that our engineers who are working on the game, we have two guys who are doing the programming right now, Ted Denola and Luke McCampbell. And they actually built a system where me and the people who are non-technical, who are writing the story for the game, we're actually writing out all the story stuff in Twine, and they actually built a tool that will actually translate the Twine script into Unity.
Oh, wow.
So that way, and then once the game comes out, we're actually going to put that tool up, and that's going to become available for people to use and other people to use. So hopefully it'll be easier for people who make Twine games to make visual Twine games.
That is a fantastic benefit to this Kickstarter that I want to make sure we call out here and kind of highlight, is that if this is successful and you're able to put all that together, that can be huge for other people wanting to do this, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I think that there's a lot of people who want to be able to make games like this.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how to program. I can't program at all. And the guys who are making the programming of the game on our end, they're pretty much building out these systems so that way they can go, here you go, here's they're basically making an RPG maker, basic system for me, so I can just go in and change the text, add in what characters I want to have in what places, so that way they don't even I don't even need their help to make the game happen. And once we have that there, I feel like there's so many great stories that should be told that I think Twine's great, but it'd be cool to be able to show some of those stories in a more visual way.
Well, obviously, when you talk about the visual and the presentation of the game, there's many references in your Kickstarter, on the Facebook and so forth, to the gaming classic Snatcher, which I know we here at OLR are very familiar with. We love Hideo Kojima and, the things he's done. And you talk about this in the Kickstarter and so forth. What is it about that particular game that basically makes it the framework or inspiration or whatever you want to call it to tell your own story that you're writing?
Snatcher's definitely in my top 5 games of all time. And looking at, those top 5 games, Snatcher seemed like the one that would be, just from a more realistic perspective of what could we actually build with a small team. And, a point-and-click adventure is something that we're okay, that's something that we could definitely do and not overreach. But it was also something where the setting of it, which is, deep in the future, in Snatcher it's 50 years in the future, so it's in the same vein, we're 50 years in the future. We can look at the way that the dynamics of queer culture have changed, in that back in the 20s, back in the 30s, if you had a kid and he was dating like an Irish kid or an Irish girl or whatever, you'd be like, oh, you can't date those Irish, you can't date the Polish. It's like all that shit that like by the 60s or 70s, no one even cared about that. And then in the 60s and 70s, you couldn't date out of your own race and things like that. And then people kind of, like those people died off. And now people are upset about people being trans or genderqueer or being, gay or lesbian. And I think as people get over the gay and lesbian thing, then they'll start getting over the trans and genderqueer thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that by 2064, hopefully, most characters in the game will have kind of gotten over a lot of those things. And so you'll see a lot more gay and lesbian and queer and trans characters that are in positions of power or positions where they're not, on a different social class as their comparatives. But there'll still be other prejudices, like whether that be people who are against, I don't want my daughter to marry a robot. There'll definitely be, prejudices and those things will always exist, but hopefully, you'll be able, especially if you're queer, you'll be able to play this game and identify with gay or trans or queer characters that are in it that, they're not just there because they're queer, and they're not going to be just good people because they're queer. But
was that possibly a hint to the plot? Because I picked up on, I know this is in the future, and you've got robots in this game, and you just said, I don't want my daughter to date a robot. Is that a little hint there? What might be happening?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we want to introduce, in the game. There's definitely going to be people who are going to be cybernetic. There's these devices called ROMs, and these ROMs can be, we've only shown off how Turing looks, but ROMs can be really any size. They can be like a wristband. They could be whatever. Because in the future we're not going to really need computers to be much faster, and computer chips can be so small they can really fit into anything. So really, it's about whatever device fits your lifestyle, the best. And so you may see people who end up becoming, really dependent on those robots. So you're going to see, people who probably will develop relationships with their ROMs, because people even today, they kind of fall in love with the internet, and they're like, man, on the internet, there's all these people who, it's a better life than on in the real world.
So that's very true. That is very true.
It's going to be interesting to kind of explore that. And one of the things that I really want to explore with the game is I come originally from the tech world, and I saw kind of how kind of devious that people were in terms of trying to get into people's privacy and use that to, do interesting stuff. And I think that in the next 50 years, you'll see, a real, all that privacy will be gone. And, I think we're already kind of starting to see it, but it will be interesting to kind of be able to talk about that and actually have a little bit of experience of knowing some of the people who are actually kind of putting these processes into place now, and knowing kind of what they dream the future to be, and living out that world and seeing if people like it. Because, there's going to be a lot of advantages to that. Your ROM will know the size of your clothes, and be like, hey, you need new boxers, and there's H&M's having a sale. Let's go right now. Yay.
Interesting. I like, the science fiction angle is pretty cool. You've definitely got quite the story unraveling here. I like this. Dark Soccer, you have something to throw in?
I was just saying, I was thinking about a little bit of a Shadowrun without the extra fantasy elements that Shadowrun throws in. Mm-hmm. Or I was actually getting a big hint of Rifts too. Mm. I don't know if you ever did any tabletop RPGs.
I played a little bit of Shadowrun, so yeah, I mean, it's definitely something where, we want to kind of keep it very close to that cyberpunk niche. So you're going to see a lot of things that are, if you watch Blade Runner, Snatcher, Rise of the Dragon, anything that is cyberpunky, we're going to try to keep that as much as possible. Yeah. While I think one of the biggest things that's changed is that in the 80s and early 90s, when a lot of these cyberpunk things came out, they never could have predicted for what the internet would be. Mm-hmm. And so in our game, we're going to acknowledge that the internet exists, and that data is this this unlimited source of data that can be transmitted anywhere at any time. And it'll be interesting to see, but also apply kind of a lot of that cyberpunk CRT monitor, FM sound, make it feel very 80s and a little backwards at times too.
Once again, the Kickstarter is for a game ROM Read Only Memories. If you want to check that out, unfortunately, Kickstarter doesn't really have short URLs, so I would encourage you to just search for that, Read Only Memories. You can also back this, and some of the rewards include just for $6. It looks like so for $6 we'll get you the unlock code for the full version when it's released on Ouya or Mac and PC. Some of the other rewards, $20. This is the one that I actually personally did, where you can get your name, company, or website in the credits, because I wanted to give a little OrangeLoungeRadio.com love in the game. So,
all right, I got to ask, why the Ouya?
The cool thing is that they're going to double our money.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Basically, all that we have to do is that when we launch the game, we're going to release it on Mac and PC, and if we hit a stretch goal, also Linux, and then also Ouya at the same time. So we're going to release on all 4 of those platforms.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I forgot that they opened that up to where you can also publish on PC to be qualified for their, fund the games or whatever they call the thing.
No. Yeah, so we're going to release that game, and we're going to release it on Steam and PC and Mac and Ouya all at the same time. And then in the 6 months between when we, release it on those systems and then we release it on iOS and Android, we'll spend those 6 months, making sure that we fix any bugs that may have been in the original releases, making it suitable for touchscreen interfaces, making improvements specifically for mobile. So, in actuality, it's, it'd be cool if we could release it all at the same time, but we can actually use that time to make it better. And yeah, I mean, it's free money, and it's something where, I'm a big fan of the idea of the Ouya. I like the Android platform. I like the idea that people can create anything and put it up there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know they've made a lot of PR mistakes, and I know that they're not, beloved by everyone, and, we knew that it wasn't going to be, the best PR decision to do it, but, there's really, I still believe it's a good idea, and I think that that's the kind of system that our game would actually be perfect for, where a long-term story-based adventure game doesn't really exist on that system, and I don't know. I think that might be something that people would be into.
That'd be pretty cool.
Let me. I want to get to some of the chat room questions that we have too, because we have a few questions in chat, and I have a couple of other questions I want to ask though. One of them here about the music in the game, because I definitely noticed this. You have some artists who agreed to help out with the game. Aethernaut, Vert, some names that people ought to know. What kind of soundtrack you try to make with this game?
So one of the things that was really cool about Snatcher was that although it was a very, very simple game, it was just text, select text menus. It had really, really awesome visuals, but more importantly, because it ran on Sega CD, it had really amazing music. And it was, the music was way out of proportion for the visuals. And in the same way, we want to have very kind of simple, kind of very 80s 16-bit visuals, but we want really awesome music. And so music has been one of the things that we wanted to focus on from the beginning, is getting really awesome artists who want to come and be involved with the game. And we actually just released yesterday on our Kickstarter update a style sheet of some of the songs that really influence us. So some of those include the games from the PC-88 and the Field Stage and Shin Megami Tensei 4. Just all these kind of FM synthy, very it's kind of hard to explain, but if you check out the list, we have just some of the music that inspires us. And Aethernaut and Vert and Too Mellow and all these people that we're working with, they just really dug the vibe. And I think a lot of them were big fans of Snatcher growing up, and they were really into the idea of kind of giving a try to, making something cyberpunky.
All right, I got one more question for you, and then we're going to go to some of our chat questions at live.vognetwork.com. It's not too late to get your question in if you have a question for Matt Conn with GaymerX and Read Only Memories. Matt, I ask this of everybody who comes on this show to pitch a Kickstarter, so I'm going to ask you as well. The funding you're trying to raise for this, $62,064, which is kind of a funny number, but what do you need that money for? Where is that money going to ultimately go?
Sure. So, a couple things. So, we're working with a team of 7 people. Myself, I'm producing the game. We have John James, who's our lead artist. We have, I'm sorry, let me actually make sure I don't get anyone's names wrong. Luke McCampbell and Ted Dinola. They're programming the games. Ted Dinola is he used to work at Zynga and Puppy Punch Productions, and he's like super duper legit. And he's leading up the programming side of things. And so we've only started really getting this programmed over the last couple months, and things have been ramping up super quickly with him. And then we have Tumelo, and we have Fred, and we have all these other people who are working on the music. And especially with people like Aethernaut and Vert, I could get them to give us a good deal on music, but I'd rather that they get paid a fair amount for their work. So we're just I want to make sure that everyone gets a fair amount, to work on this game. So between all those people, and then we also have Shams, who's our CFO of Midboss, and who's kind of be doing all the fulfillment and stuff. It's a lot of work, and so the money's mostly going into paying those people. But then there's also the Unity fees. The actual distribution fees of getting those games out there, sure. And then just paying for I want to have more music, I want to have more artists come on board, and I want to make sure they get treated right.
And I do notice you have some stretch goals to hopefully, if you can get there, provide an actual soundtrack OST if you've backed to a certain level, a Linux port, and possibly an art book at different stretch goal levels. But we are looking at 11 days to go, and you've got about 20K to go. So you're on track. So, but every little bit helps, especially meeting those stretch goals. If you guys are listening here at vognetwork.com or on the podcast feed or on Stitcher, definitely encourage you guys to check this out. You can keep tabs on Matt's project. GamerConnect.com would probably be the best place to send them. I'm not sure where your hub is for all this.
Yeah, well, we're actually making a bunch of changes right now because, we now that we're not just doing GaymerX, right. We're now kind of reforming as Midboss in a way. Mm-hmm. So now we have a game and we have the convention. We're working really hard on GamerConnect.com to get it up to being something really awesome. But it's just really tough because it's basically we're trying to emulate a lot of features that Facebook has. And it's just hard with one person, programming it to keep it up. But we actually just released a new news feed today, and we really want it to be a place where if you're a queer geek, you can go and talk about games and relax. And we just need to put more work into it and make sure that it runs fast and looks good. And part of that is just we don't really have the money yet to hire people to do that. But yeah, so if you go to Gamer Connect, it has all of our projects. GaymerX 2 is next July, and you can get your tickets now. And also, one of the cool things about Read Only Memories is you can actually get tickets for GaymerX 2 in the rewards for the Kickstarter. Nice. And so, for the $79 level, that's only $9 more than a regular 3-day ticket. And then for that, you get 3 copies of the game. You get the beanie, you get the stickers, and you get a ticket to the con. And that money gets doubled for us because of Ouya, so you're helping us out too. So it's a good deal.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I hope we're not taking up too much of your time, but I do want to get some chat questions, if you don't mind. Just a couple of quick ones here. Dungeon Buster in our chat room, live.vognetwork.com, asking, will ROM have action sequences like in Snatcher? As good as Snatcher is, I think it could have stood well enough without them. And if you do have them, will there be an option to skip them?
Yeah, so I don't want there to be action sequences. I didn't mind the action sequences in Snatcher. I actually thought that they were okay. If you've ever played Police Knots, which is sort of like the spiritual sequel in a way to Snatcher, I did not enjoy the action sequences in that. That was too with Snatcher they had the grid format. They totally ditched it for Police Knots and just expected you had a light gun. So it's impossible to play as an emulation or without the gun. Mm-hmm. And then with Rise of the Dragon, it just has the worst, awful, just disgusting arcade elements you've ever seen in your life. It's got this really cool gameplay, and then you go into the arcade elements, and your character, when he jumps 30 feet in the air, and it's disgusting. If you play it, you would be sick to your stomach. So that being said, we also don't have a ton of experience with. This is a pretty new team, and we have 2 really awesome programmers. But I've seen what we were doing with the dialogue and the inventory and how we're working on that, and I feel I don't want to shoehorn anything in that isn't going to feel natural to the game. Mm-hmm. If there is going to be mini games, it would probably be more around hey, you need to move these wires around to unlock this puzzle. So I would think that it'd be more around like puzzle stuff and things, that aren't like time based or whatever. Because I've usually found that in adventure games, action scenes, while they're fun and they kind of keep you on your toes, can be really, really frustrating, and not very fun, because
it can be a blockade to progress the story too, which I can totally see that element of it. Like, how many times have forget it, I can't get past this one thing in the game, forget it, I'm out, and then you would miss the story. So I totally hear you on that. One more question here from chat. This is a question about GaymerX from SSJ100 Matt in the chat room at live.vognetwork.com asks, I understand this is still very new, but what do you see as the future of GaymerX? What is the next step? Because this is a great idea that I could see growing even more.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan for GaymerX, we recently appointed a new president whose name's Tony, and they are awesome. Mm-hmm. And the idea for GaymerX is like, when we first created it, and when I first created SF Gamers, I wanted there to be a safe space for other, gay and queer gamers like myself. And I kind of used the word gamer because I always thought that was a really super inclusive word. Uh-huh. The more I've kind of met people, I've realized that the name is kind of, in a way, it can be a little off-putting to straight people who want to come and people who want to come who aren't necessarily gay identifying. And I don't want the con to be something where people feel uncomfortable going because of the name or even because of the vibe. I want the vibe just to be a place where anyone, no matter whether they be genderqueer or straight or, a furry or an ally or trans or bi or just a woman, anyone who maybe feels like they aren't culturally accepted by like the mainstream gaming media, to be able to come and feel like they're on an equal level playing field where people aren't going to judge you because of some preconceived notions of like, oh, well, you're a girl, so you can't play games, or you're gay, you can't play games, or whatever. I mean, I think you look at like players like Scarlett, who almost just won the world championships for StarCraft, and who's a trans woman, and it's like, obviously women and queer people can play games. Mm-hmm. I want it to be a place where everyone's treated with respect, but I want it to also be a place where, like, if you're a straight person, like, I'm sick of people being like, oh, I can't go to this because it's a gay event. I'm like, no, it's like, it's not really like that. It's more like almost, and I even hesitate to compare it to this, but like an LGBT film festival where it's like, you might see some films that have queer content in them, or you might have conversations that talk about some gay stuff. But like for the most part, it's a gaming convention, and I think that you'll find that most gamers, care more about games than anything else in their life. But that being said, the gays and the queers of us also deserve to be able to feel comfortable and be able to flirt with one another in a safe environment.
An interesting response here from Queen Simi on our chat room at live.vognetwork.com says, there's that, and I thought personally if I attended GaymerX as a straight cis woman, I'd be invading a safe space. I don't think that's the case at all.
No. I mean, like, we actually had Anita Sarkeesian was there, and we had a ton of really awesome women who came who were just, regular cis, just cis women.
Yeah.
And, they actually really enjoyed it. And, like, I feel like it's something where it's kind of almost comparable to a gay club, where it's like a lot of cis women go to gay clubs in San Francisco because they know that they'll be in a safe space where they know that they'll be treated with respect, and
right.
like they're not going to be like groped on or like hit on like unnecessarily, and they'll just be able to dance and have fun. Mm-hmm. And in the same way, like I think it's just like I think we as gamers, and by that I mean like queer gamers, like we don't want other people to not come. I think that we want people to acknowledge who we are. I think the more that people acknowledge, hey, that we are an existing group, and that we're just like you and everyone else, like that's really, really important. Because like I don't subscribe to that whole idea of like, oh, we're making GaymerX to make a seclusionary event, and you should only go to GaymerX and don't go to PAX or don't go to E3, because like that's silly. Like people can go to as many conferences as they want or can afford to go to, and this is just a different experience, that like one that like we're trying to kind of create like a something that's not really out there right now.
Yeah, I got to say, Matt, as somebody who, for a period in my late teens and early 20s, I literally thought I was the only gay nerd. Like, I thought I was the only gay nerd on the whole damn planet. So to now, maybe now I'm in my mid 30s, but to see something like this happen was really amazing, Matt. And I got to thank you and your team for doing this, because I'm like, oh my God. And I'm speaking from experience here, you guys. Like, to be that 18 or 19-year-old who is thinking that, like, I am the only gay nerd on the entire planet, to be shown, like, no, you're not.
You're the only gay nerd in the village.
But no, you're not. And to have to kind of have that celebration, not just like, look, other gay nerds, but a celebration of all things nerd is just it meant a lot to me personally, and I was so happy to see it happen. So,
well, thank you. I mean, like, that's kind of my whole goal with it, is like, I think back to my 16-year-old gay nerdy self, and like how much of the time I would either hang out with gay people and I would like have to hide being a nerdy, or I would hang out with nerdy people and have to hide being gay. And I felt like I was living a lesser life than my true self. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if people can look at GaymerX and see there's thousands of other queer geeks out there just like them, hopefully they won't feel like they're alone. They feel like, the whole point of creating Gamer Connect was so that way people can connect with their community and find other people in their community. And like, I remember like being in college and finding gaygamer.net and being like, this is what I've been like looking for my entire life. Right. And I felt like if I can help other people find that, like, that's like my calling in a way.
Jamie, you have one more thought here?
Well, it wasn't a very big thing.
Oh.
I was actually just wondering how the asexual turnout is.
We don't obviously ask people at the door.
Well, I mean, but I was just wondering if there was representation.
Oh yeah, I mean, so the thing is that like we try to accommodate like everything in terms of like panels. Like I don't remember exactly what panels we had last year off the top of my head, but I know that we had panels that I know for sure that we had panels that were submitted about like it being asexual and being in the community. And as someone who I dated someone who was asexual, I think that's I obviously don't think that there's any lifestyle that isn't valid, but like I totally understand, and I want that. I think a lot of people have a lot of ignorance about people who are asexual, and I think that more education along those lines would be great. Although I can't speak to the attendance of it that level, I would love to see more panels by people who either identify as asexual or want to talk about asexual ideas, especially as they pertain to gaming at GaymerX too. I think that would be super duper awesome.
It's funny. I actually did have an idea for a panel.
Well, you better write that down.
Asexuality and shipping. Why it's a nightmare. GaymerX, definitely a celebration of diversity, and I think it's only going to be a bigger celebration in this next year. Matt, I wish you the best of luck with GaymerX too, and your team as well. I know Tony is leading it now, and it will be fabulous with the group that you helped assemble last year. I know it, and of course with this game, Read Only Memories, a new cyberpunk adventure. Please check it out on Kickstarter. Take a look at the video, and let's see if we can't help Matt raise that $20,000 more they need to get it to happen. Matt, before I get any last plugs from you and let you go, I do have to ask you about one other topic that's completely different. Like, you were not prepared to talk about this. You ready?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to bring it, because here's the thing. Now, Dark Sakura, she doesn't watch a lot of reality television.
No, I don't.
But there is a show in Britain about Britain's worst driver, and they adapted it in Canada. And you love yourself some Canada's
worst driver.
Did you know that Matt, and this is on Wiki, so I know it's true, Matt was a contestant on America's Worst Driver.
Really?
And did Matt, am I correct? You now, spoiler alert, Matt, you won the whole damn thing, didn't you?
Yeah, I am America's Worst Driver.
Oh my! Now I haven't watched the American one just because I heard that it was like way too Americanized. Because the Canadian one is just awesome. It's like, we teach you how to do stunt driving, and you have to do all this.
It's very polite.
Yeah, it is really. Well, I don't know. There's this one girl who's kind of freaking out on. They're doing Worst Driver Ever this season. But what was it like for you? I mean, was it embarrassing to be on it, or did you learn something from it, or?
No. Well, so the thing is that, like, at this point, I don't really care what the Travel Channel does to me. I mean, so the whole thing was all scripted.
Oh yeah.
So like each city that we went to, they would be like, okay, so the rules were there was eight. Well, I mean, okay, so all scripted is maybe not exactly correct. So there's 8 cities that they would go to. And in each of the cities, they said, okay, so there's going to be 4 contestants, and the worst driver in this city would have their car destroyed.
Uh-huh.
However, those contestants would then be brought back for the finale, where 7 out of those 8 teams would win brand new cars.
Right.
So basically, they're telling you to lose, so that way you'd have a 7 out of 8 chance to win a new car. So in each of the cities, every single it's super fake because all 8 episodes, everyone's trying to do the worst thing possible, and I was just able to win in San Francisco because I was trying to. I mean, I had a really crappy car, and so I was willing to basically total it on the show either way. So I was just totally breaking all the rules. I was driving down Lombard Street and crashing into shit. And I was having a blast. If you watch the first episode, I'm on the first episode in the finale. First episode, I'm having so much fun. I'm actually I'm never tripping at all. I'm just yeah, this is great. I'm having fun. And then in the finale, then it was actually a real contest where they would have elimination style challenges. It's something where they never let you watch the other people compete, and they don't have any times. They just be yeah, you won or lost, and someone during my SF things actually carried a stopwatch in their pocket, and the time that they got was completely different than the thing they had in their pocket, which meant that they were yeah, this whole show is fixed. Anyways, as fixed or not, in the finale, I watched as there's 8 teams, and I'm super confident. And I'm just yeah, I'm not a bad driver. There's no way I'm going to lose to all these people. And I watched it go from 8 teams to 7 teams to 6 teams to 5 teams. And watch my expression. And I was wearing demon horns in the first episode. And super fun and having fun. And then by the time there's 3 teams left, I'm shit, I'm literally going to lose. I'm going to lose not just my car, but everyone else is going to walk away with a brand new car. Which before they were oh yeah, you can just take the check. You can just take the value of the car. So I was I'm going to walk out of here with nothing. And then it got to 2 teams, and I was oh my God. And if you watch in the last scene where it's me versus the other team, me and my partner are freaking out because I think we already know that we're going to lose. It's just pretty obvious. It's 2 little shithead kids versus this really, really sweet, older women. Not older, but there are people who didn't deserve to lose versus 2 brats. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I think I knew that storyline-wise we were going to lose. I was panicking and I wasn't driving well, and I lost. And then they were "Oh, the Robosaurus is going to destroy the new car of the person who lost," and then it destroyed the car that I would have gotten.
Did they have Robosaurus in Canada?
No,
I'm thinking
this is completely different than the Canadian version. Because in the Canadian version, they basically pick 8 drivers from around the different provinces who can't drive for a different reason. And then they actually go through driver rehab. And if you get voted off, that means you actually were a good driver and you graduated rehab. If you win the whole thing, that means you are the worst driver. You get a trophy of crashed car parts.
Well, yeah, so we didn't get any training or anything. We just had the first episode, and then they were come back for the finale, and they never gave us any they just were eh.
It just seems like the only similarity is the name. Then
maybe. Well, I had to. I know it has nothing to do with video games, but knowing that Dark Sakura loves her Canada's worst, I had to ask you about that. And I even see some comments in the chat room. Codeman says, "I've never watched this, but it sounds awesome." Dungeon Buster says
it was canceled after 1 season.
Yeah, it was canceled after 1 season. Dungeon Buster
says it was the worst show. It was so bad. I knew while we were filming it was going to be canceled, and then. It was so bad.
I love that you have a great sense of humor about it.
I just wonder if they had kept the original format, if it would have lasted. Because it's on its 8th season in Canada now.
We'll never know. All right.
I bet you they would have. I mean, the thing is that when they were filming it, I could tell it was going to be really bad. And then I found out the time slot. It was Saturdays at 10 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Travel Channel. I was man, they have no confidence in the show.
Yeah. See, I've actually learned stuff watching the Canadian version, and I know Canadian road signs now.
Are they that different? I didn't realize.
There's some that are different.
All right, Matt, we got to let you go. Thank you so much for having a good sense of humor about that. And seriously, I mean it. I am so looking forward to GaymerX 2 and everything your whole team's putting on. And best of luck with Read Only Memories. I hope you make it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'd love to chat more. And please check out Read Only Memories. We still have tickets to GaymerX 2 on there that are super cheap. And if you back it on there, then we is going to basically double your money, so awesome. You're going to make it a really awesome game on top of it.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you guys. And yes, we'll keep in touch, and I will see you at least at GaymerX 2, if not a heck of a lot sooner, because I'm in San Francisco all the time. So
Yeah, we'll get some some really nice ethnic food. We can go get some Peruvian food down
Awesome.
in. Good.
And then you can watch me have 7 drinks like I did last night, make a fool out of myself.
Oh,
All
right.
right,
Hey.
all right, Matt, buddy, take care and good luck.
All right, man. Have a great day.
All right, take care. All right, that was great.
I like him.
Yeah, he's fun. He's fun. All right,
I'm trying to convince Dan to let me buy the $80 package.
nice. Dan, money.
Dan, package. Well, no, 'cause
Hanukkah.
I mean,
It's Hanukkah, for God's sake.
well, it is, but he already bought me games.
all
So somebody give me $80.
All right.
It'll go to a good cause. It'll go to me.
I know that went on a little long. Sorry, I think I ate more show than we intended to, but Matt was a lot of fun. I had to ask him about the worst driver thing. I had to. Live.vognetwork.com if you want to keep commenting.
You
with the rest
forgot
of the
to
show.
ask him what he was playing.
I did, didn't I? I was running
Shame.
long. What's more important though, the where's the money going question or the what are you playing question?
I think the more important one was the worst driver.
that was the most important question. All right.
I'm sorry, that was awesome. And now I know that I'm glad I didn't watch The American. Because I thought about going back to find it. Because you know me, I've seen every
I know.
except for the
And
last
you're
2
like-
episodes.
You come in here all the time. I hate TV. I never watch TV, but Canada's the worst driver. Oh my god.
because I watched it on YouTube.
All right. We got to get back to games. Quickly, let's try to get through the rest of our gaming weeks and then some of the news as well. Loki.
So this week I played a few things. I've been meaning to play Fallout New Vegas since last Steam sale. And so I finally got around to playing it, and I did not like it. And I was so disappointed because I really had high hopes for that game, and I just can't get into it. I think it's just the game itself looks really dated. Like, I'm running on Ultra, so it's, it doesn't look that pretty to begin with. And I'm sure I could fix some of the stuff with mods. I just haven't gotten around to it. And it's like, I don't know if I want to spend the effort to do that right now. But anyways, I just didn't like the setting. I didn't like the story because I didn't understand what the hell was going on. And I just didn't like the way it played. There's no fucking sprint for one. At least I couldn't find it. So it was just, I don't know. It bugged me. It just rubbed me the wrong way, I guess. And so I don't know if I'm going to continue on with it. That said, I also played Minecraft this week. That's just for a little bit. I went ahead and updated my version I had on PC to get the latest thing because they just put an update out not too long ago. It's like 1.7.2 now. And
I didn't realize that. I need to check it out too.
yeah, they've got it's changed. Like, holy shit! Like, the biomes now are really intricate. Like, I reloaded our seed that we had, and it's fucking terrible now. To be honest, I'm like, oh my god, well, this seed's terrible now. I hate it. I'm like in a fucking swamp. Well, what happened to my cool jungle that I was in? But so I just went ahead and I just messed around with that for a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, if you just do the New World seed or whatever, there's like this huge fucking mountain that's appears right next to you, and that's kind of neat. And then they also have the ones where you can spawn these like really I don't know what they call it, like basically exaggerated versions of the different biomes and stuff, almost like extreme or something, and it looks really unique. Very tall mountains and stuff. I still haven't gone around to setting up the multiplayer server, so I don't know about that yet. Then also,
I'm hoping for a VOG Minecraft server comeback in 2014. I'm hoping.
I have all the information to do it. I just haven't gone around.
There's no
to
more
it.
Team Fortress 2 server, so maybe I can redirect the money.
We have we have Gally has offered us his server, so
no hate against Team Fortress 2. By the way, I still love Team Fortress 2. Just it wasn't really being used.
yeah. So
Next game.
No, Gally has a server up, but see, that's the thing, is getting people like on it because it was a ghost town most of the time. And that's kind of the problem with anything that we do, like even like Team Fortress 2 and stuff. It's a ghost town most of the time. So I don't know. And even like creative mode gets boring after a while. It's like survival, at least there's something you like. If you're playing on your own, there's stuff that you can be doing. Whereas it's like if you go into creative mode, it's like, okay, I want to look around at what people made, and what am I going to build now? Fuck if I know. I don't. So there's just no happy medium there. Okay, so anyways, enough Minecraft. Actually, it was just because I was installing it on my friend's computer. So because he has an account, he used to play with us occasionally. And now I built him a PC, so I put it on there for him. And then Steam sale, like I've been looking at stuff. I almost bought a lot of things, but the only thing I bought is just the season pass for Saints Row 4. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to do that, but it was on sale, 66% off, and I feel that the price of that is definitely worth what they're giving me. Although what it gave me instead of really shitty DLC was a thing that broke my game, and so now I had to uninstall it, and I have to reinstall it and see if that fixes it. I thought at first, it's because I have mods that I made and put in there and stuff like that. Well, I took all those out, and it still didn't fucking work, so I'm a little disappointed that it, broke the whole game. So we'll see if I reload it. Maybe it'll fix itself, and I can start slowly loading the mods in and see if that, works again. But it's annoying.
Sure.
To say the least. And then a little bit Grand Theft Auto 5. Got in the back of a train and got 5 stars and was sniping people with my sniper rifle and stuff as Trevor, so that was kind of fun.
I'm sorry, I have to bring this up. You mentioned Steam sale and Dark Soccer because it was like 6 o'clock, new flash sales. So she just loaded it up on her iPad and
shut up, don't judge me.
Literally at the same time, we both pointed and went Deadpool. Because
I don't care how
Deadpool's
shitty this game
$10,
is.
yeah.
I don't care how shitty it is. I'm getting the fucking Deadpool game because fuck, it's Deadpool.
Hey, sorry,
and
sorry,
I'm a
Logie.
consumer whore.
It's one of those nights.
No, I was trying to get Bobby to buy Saints Row. They had it down at $19. So I was like, okay. But, so I've been good. I've been thinking, like, okay, I'm going to buy these games. Like, I almost bought Fallout 3, almost bought, Far Cry 3, almost bought Rise of the Triad, because that was down to, like, $5.09. Still might. I don't know, but I'm looking at my library of games I have, and I'm like, I haven't played most of this stuff. If I buy these, I'm not going to play them either.
You need to make a resolution to yourself like Dark Soccer did. I'm going to play one a week.
I'm not playing one a week. Okay, that's not going to happen.
That's true. The wife is expecting a new baby soon, and so...
that doesn't mean it. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that means more than you might think right now, Logie. All right.
But like at BioShock, for example, BioShock Infinite came down to about $7 on GameFly.
Yeah.
I was like, I should just buy it for that. But I'm like, no, I fucking played through it on Xbox 360. Am I really going to play through the game again? No. Why am I cluttering my fucking account with these games that I'm never going to play? So that's kind of where I'm at. So,
right.
But there is a nice gap between now and when more games are coming out. So I do have time to catch up. I do want to play more Grand Theft Auto 5. But my wife has been wanting to watch Hulu, and she doesn't like the PlayStation 3 controller because if you set it on the couch the right way, or not the right way, it accidentally taps one of those analog sticks and fast forwards, and she throws a fit. And I'm like, fine. So, I don't want to play my 360 character to get it up to where my PS3 character is, but I may just have to go PS3, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
All right, anything else? We got to keep moving here.
I can't log in.
Aw. Well, the good news is
do it when I get home.
Yeah, you have until like 2 a.m. All right, I'm going to try to quickly go through my gaming week. A lot of the usual suspects, a lot of the same stuff I talked about this week, continuing to progress in Zelda and Mario and so forth. But I also fell victim to the Steam sale. I picked up a few games. I'm going to try to make this quick. A few games I picked up. DLC Quest I bought.
I did remember what the game I bought was.
What's that?
Shadowrun.
Oh, okay. Oh, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
DLC Quest. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I like DLC Quest as like a commentary, and it's obviously it's a little bit biting on the state of DLC and so forth. It was $1 on sale, and that's that. It was a fun little adventure game, little silly. It's not particularly difficult. I beat it in one sitting. There is an expansion, like the freemium isn't free or something like that was the expansion, and I'm in the middle of that right now. The game is not really particularly difficult, and at its core, you've really played a game like this 1,000 times. Because since the coin is, the coins that you use to get the quote-unquote DLC are just, things you pick up in game. We've all played that game where it's like, now you have to get this item to go unlock this door. Now you need to get this item to get past this. We've all played a game like that before. It's a very, very common formula in games. I'm not razzing this game for that because, again, it's a budget game. It's
also
an
pretty
indie
old,
game.
too.
Yeah, it has been out a little while. And you have to remember, it's more a commentary. And it does have a funny little script to it, and I did lol a few times. So for $1 or even $3 or whatever they're asking for it normally, it's a fine little evening jaunt through DLC Quest. So check that one out. I also checked out a game called Spelunky, which I'd been wanting to check out for a long time, and then finally when it hit $4 or whatever it was, I was like, done. I like this game an awful lot. I am fucking terrible at it, but I find that I'm learning more and more. I'm going to tell you what I love most about Spelunky. I am a whore for roguelike games. You know, the roguelike games, like back to the old school Rogue, and Rogue Legacy even is like a roguelike game, obviously. Spelunky's kind of like that too, and you find more layers of the game as you progress. Like, oh, I've never seen this item before. What does this do? Oh, all the levels are randomly generated. It's fun, and one thing I love a lot about it is it really reminds me of a classic PC game, but kind of done in modern context. I don't really know how else to put my finger on it, but I just feel like when I'm playing it, I'm playing like an old game on the Commodore 64, but that looks like a game on the PlayStation 3 or the modern PC or what have you. So I enjoyed Spelunky. I was surprised there's no internet multiplayer, but there's local multiplayer. But there are like challenge boards where you'll have a certain level set that you can only play once per day, and you go as far as you can, and once you're done, you're done. And there's a whole community around this game, like live streams of people doing that and so forth. So I enjoyed Spelunky. I think I got it at a steal. I think the game is worth whatever they're asking for it, normally like $15 or what have you, right? So Spelunky, I will probably be talking about this game more in future weeks when we have a little more time. The last game I picked up, Gone Home, I bought for $5, and it was on sale. And I will tell you this, I started Gone Home at about probably 9 o'clock on Friday night. I just kind of said, all right, I need to check out this game finally. I started playing it. I did not get up out of my chair, except maybe to use the restroom and get water, until I beat the game at about 1 a.m. So I played this thing from start to finish. I was really into it. I will say this, and this is probably a common thing you're going to hear about Gone Home. It's not really a game, but it's definitely an interactive story. I feel like it's best described, this is how I felt about it. It's like a first-person movie. Imagine you control the movie. That's kind of what this game felt like to me. At its core, it's not. I'm not going to, but I could probably spoil the whole damn thing for you in 3 sentences, like the whole game. I'm not going to do that because that would be a dick thing to do. And I think watching the layers of it unfold, it's not so much the punchline, quote unquote. Like I could tell you those 3 sentences that would ruin the game for you, but at the same time, I think it's about how we get to that and all those really kind of unsettling things and the way things are presented in the game that really made this game a very special experience. I'm just going to say it's not for everybody because some people are going to play this and be like, wait a minute, this is not the game I was expecting at all. So you got to be prepared that it's going to be a little bit more of a story that slowly unravels. And there's really not like challenge to it per se. There's no monster that's going to jump out from behind the curtain and eat you to death. Although you might get that impression from, what you see about the game and so forth. It's actually very much not like that at all. My one issue with the game is that because I think it was trying to present itself one way and then kind of end up being another sort of story, I feel like there were things in a context that weren't fully explored. I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to ruin this for you, but I felt there were certain things that didn't really get explored enough. When the game ended, I did feel resolution. I felt satisfaction. I felt like, wow, that was a good movie I just watched. Like, I felt that when I finished the game, except I was like, but what about that subplot? What about this subplot didn't really resolve? I'm not sure if I missed something or something, but, I'm trying to think of a non-spoilery way to say this for people who have played the game. The uncle. I'll say that. So if you played the game, you'll know what the uncle. I kind of feel like that was left unresolved for me, whereas everything else was fine. So for $5, it was definitely worth it. I think the game normally is like, 10 or 15? I just want to caution you, although I felt it was good and you would pay 10 or 15 for a movie, some people may not feel the value when it's only going to take you 3 to 4 hours to beat, if that. Some of you will probably fly through it faster than me. I'm very, OCD with the games and looking at every little corner, which actually pays off in this game immensely. I just want to kind of warn you that. Now, there are some things they do to try to enhance the value. Like there's a director's commentary mode you can play through and so forth to try and encourage a second play and so on. But I just want to warn you, if you're expecting like, oh, I'm going to buy this game and it's going to give me hundreds of hours of satisfaction, think of it more like a movie because that's kind of what it is. It's more like an interactive movie. But I sort of really love. God, how do I put my finger on this? I just kind of love what I think this game may have started.
That was incredibly distinct and clear.
I know, right? I feel like this is going to be the first, or maybe not even the first, because I can think of other games I've played like this, but I think this is going to be a definitely notable, and you're seeing it getting Game of the Year nods and so forth and so on. I think this is going to be one of those games where we look back and we go, this is the point that this art form really started to take off. I guess that's the best I can say without totally ruining things. Sorry, guys. All right. Anyhow.
Clear as mud.
I know, right?
We're right there with you.
All right. If you want to talk spoilers, we can maybe later. I got to wait for the 6 months to be out. Has it been out for 6 months? When it's been out 6 months, I can talk spoilers because that's the agreed upon moratorium on spoilers, right? I'll encourage you, don't go out there and spoil it for yourself because, again, it could be spoiled for you in 3 sentences, and there's some real dickheads that spoil it in comments and so forth. I really think it's best experienced getting in there and doing it. All right. Jason, quickly, your gaming week.
Pretty light week because Monday through Wednesday were spent wrapping up everything at work, and then I've been around doing a lot of different things. My sale haul was that I picked up a 2-pack of Dive Kick, and I didn't figure out what to do with the second copy. I picked up Splunky as well, Final Fantasy VII, the BioShock triple pack, and Counter-Strike Go. Still not entirely sure why, because I've never been good at that game or anything of the sort, but I have it. And Rageinator has thanked me numerous times, both in chat, and then he mentioned it when he called into Bobby's show. Bobby Blackwolf, 6 p.m. Pacific on the VOG
5
Network.
p.m. Pacific. 6 p.m.
6 p.m. my
time zone you're
home
used
time.
to, yeah.
So close. As he said on his call, I picked up the Saints Row pack for him. He was talking about it. He wanted some stuff to play. It was dirt cheap, and it is a lot of content. I really enjoyed Saints Row 3, so I threw the pack his way. Because I've been moving around so much this week, I've actually gotten kind of back into the mobile swing of things again. I picked up Sonic Dash, which is just an endless runner, time-killing kind of game. I've been very addicted to Quiz Up in the last week or two, and me and Rob played around with that the other night.
That's a fun little iPhone game. That is a fun little iPhone game.
Very fun. It's very, very well curated. And
which means in
doing
60
very
days
well.
we'll no longer be playing it. That's what happens to iPhone games.
And then there was the other... Was it just those two? I feel like there was a third game that I've been playing, phone or iPad rather often, but probably just Quiz Up and Sonic Dash. The usual suspects, a little bit of Rogue Legacy, a little bit of FTL. FTL randoms were abysmally terrible, and I just got destroyed before I even hit the third sector. And a couple more power-ups in Rogue Legacy, still plowing through that, trying to get further, pick up more equipment, pieces of equipment and upgrades and all that. The usual.
Alrighty, let me quickly do some housekeeping, and then we'll go into the news for tonight. So, as always, I do want to encourage you guys to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio, and then we'll also be on Twitter, twitter.com/OLR. I want to address the YouTube expansion real quick because last week I mentioned I put the show up on YouTube. It took me a little while to do. And so, and I've kind of been able to watch, how was it received this week and so forth. So I kind of made a decision on how we're going to kind of treat the YouTube thing going forward. So this is how it's going to work, is that we will post the episodes to YouTube. Obviously, they will not be videos. They're just going to be audio for archive purposes. We will post the shows to YouTube, but we're going to post them on a 1-week delay. And you might be thinking, what? Why would you do that? Well, because I love the idea of YouTube for the archive purposes and so forth, and kind of being able to go find your favorite parts of the show and so forth and all that. But I'm gonna just keep it real with you guys. We want the hits at orangeloungeradio.com and vognetwork.com. We don't. I mean, YouTube is great for discovery and so forth, and branching out to that audience. But it really helps us in being able to, get into sell the show as media and help with events and so forth. If we can get the hits with orangeloungeradio.com and so forth. So the podcast and Stitcher and TuneIn and those sorts of apps that tap into the official podcast feed, those are the ways we sort of prefer that people listen to the show. So those are the ones that we're going to support with the immediate Sunday night uploads. But we will continue to support YouTube on the delay. I will say this, though, just so that if you're a YouTube dedicated person, I don't want you to get upset, because definitely we're exploring. What are other ways we can actually get involved with actual video on YouTube? I know I've been doing that a lot through my own channel, plug, Rob Roberts Plays, plug. And I'm sure there will be more stuff to come in the future. So stay tuned for, things that aren't just audio archives of the show, and hopefully some more interactive content over on the YouTube. All right. Let's get into some gaming news. We're going to try to move through it quickly because we're already an hour 20 minutes into the show, but we'll try to get through this quickly. Loki, why don't you start us off with some news tonight?
All right. So, as we mentioned last week, there have been some people using Playroom on the PlayStation 4 as a means to kind of broadcast themselves, almost like a talk show format or whatever. And some people have been abusing that to broadcast themselves doing pornographic things. I'm personally fine with, but apparently Twitch isn't. So because of that, Twitch has momentarily removed the Playroom content from the directory because they say the majority of it was non-gaming related. And they may add it back later on if the gameplay stuff is more gaming related later on, I guess. I don't know. So, oh well. That's all it takes is a few people to run it for everybody.
This is, I mean, there was a part of me that was like, that's so frustrating. I mean, it's not that I'm like sitting here going, Twitch shouldn't have done that. I mean, they kind of had to because people were, abusing it or whatever. But I was just like, damn, it really sucks that there wasn't a way to really kind of manage that. I don't know what you could do. I mean, it's the whole infamous TTP joke we make here on Orange Lounge Radio where you put a new peripheral out there and what's the time to penis? How long before somebody puts their dick in it or shows their dick on it or so forth? And
or draws a dick.
Exactly. As we found with this, it wasn't very long at all, and that's why it's gotten pulled and so forth. And there were some really disgusting things that were going on Playroom. Like I'm not just talking about like showing body parts. There's some really disgusting things happening.
Yeah, I saw them.
So yeah, well, so I understand completely why they pulled it, but damn it, because there was some great potential there for people to start their own homegrown broadcasts and get voices out there and so forth. I guess you could still do that on Ustream. So I would encourage you, if you were one of those people that was like, shit, I could have used Playroom to start my podcast or to start my video show, don't let that discourage you completely. You could feasibly still do Ustream. It's going to be a little harder to build an audience, but you know what? You got to start somewhere.
Or you could probably get drivers for that camera eventually, and
that'll happen too.
I don't know I think that has a special adapter for it though, or a special like proprietary plug or something. But they'll come out with something. I mean, they did it with with the Kinect and stuff, so that and honestly, it doesn't probably cost too much to get some sort of webcam, and a lot of computers have webcams built into them, or even laptops and stuff. So. I wouldn't say if you can afford a PlayStation 4, you probably could afford a webcam if you really wanted to do that.
Yeah. So and I'm all for more voices, more broadcasting getting out there. So just kind of on a side note, but damn you people that had to go do nasty shit on Playroom and really ruin it for everybody, jerks. All right. Moving on, some changes going on with Miiverse, and this has to do with the integration between the 3DS is going to be coming on board, and they're getting Miiverse. So there's been some changes with Miiverse that happened this past week, and obviously this is to support this whole consolidation. Some new display options in the community list. You can display more communities at once. There's also going to be communities based on categories like Wii U software, Virtual Console, and assumably 3DS, and so on. Your profile will no longer display the total number of Yaz you've given, which was basically how many inches your Nintendo E-Peen was. It was right there on your profile. Like, how many people have clicked like on my posts? That's not there anymore, so there's no more competition, I suppose. You can still see your Yaz on individual posts. Also, the default display setting in the community. When you entered the community before, you would see everybody's posts. Now it defaults to only showing you posts from people who've actually played the game. You can take that out and look at every post if you want to, but I kind of understand that change. I do. You want the discussion to be people who've actually played the game. It's unfortunate for the people who might be popping in there to ask, is this, would I like this game? But there's other places on the internet you can go for that, really. So, the Miiverse integration of Mario 3D World's a lot of fun, though. I really crack up at some of the stuff I see. So, Miiverse is so interesting. Just when you think Nintendo really doesn't understand online whatsoever, you kind of look at Miiverse and go, nobody's really doing that, and it is kind of neat, like when it works. Anyway, one other thing that is neat to be a part of, if you're lucky enough to be there, you might actually get a free Wii U console if you end up on the right Southwest Airlines flight. Yeah, that's Southwest Airlines flight. Apparently, Nintendo and Southwest Airlines partnered up. Nintendo is like the official video game company of Southwest Airlines. There's gaming lounges in some of the heavy traffic Southwest airports, which would be like Las Vegas, I imagine, has got to have something. And they're giving away games and so forth. And Flight 1883, which went from New Orleans to Dallas Love Field last week, they gave over 100 passengers a brand new Wii U console. So it's just kind of different ways to. I mean, we might be sitting here looking at that going, "That's kind of weird," but it's just different.
Marketing.
It's just different ways to market.
Sony's doing something about the PS4 on Facebook. So
yeah,
one of those reblog campaigns.
Yeah,
they gave away 2 of them at the Sharks game last night.
Ah. So, and I'm sure an Xbox, they went to some YouTubers' houses and were giving them Xbox, some of their vocal critics, and were giving them Xbox Ones. That was
Francis
interesting.
was
yeah.
the one
apparently
that I saw
they're not
live.
listening to our show.
I know, right? That was the only reason you were so mad, Loki. You were just trying to get a free
mad
one.
At all. Like I said, I'm not going to turn down free, but, still.
Anyway, so yeah, fly more Southwest, I suppose, if you want to possibly win a free Wii U.
That's a good excuse to go Southwest as your airline.
I don't know what
the most entertaining flights I've ever had were Southwest flights.
That's true.
Let's just go to Disneyland a bunch.
Well, see, I do not again, we're not commercially endorsed, but I do have to give JetBlue a shout out because I do love those TVs because I flew cross country and watched 5 hours of SpongeBob SquarePants. Best flight I ever took to New York City.
Oh, that sounds awful. For the record,
Haters gonna hate.
For the record,
what?
Oh, crap! What was it? It wasn't Delta. It was something when I flew to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, like the worst thing ever. It
was
American.
US Air, I'm sure. Oh,
American Airlines. Awful.
All right, what do you have for us, Dark Sakura?
Have some crap. Because this is a bunch of crap. So, once again, Shenmue 3 ain't happening. That whole trademark application, fake. Sega's like, no. Didn't we tell you this for the last 10 years? No.
Now, I think there's a silver lining to this we'll get into later in the show, but...
Well, there's another fake, too.
Oh, go ahead.
For Fallout 4.
Well... It's going to happen eventually. We all know Fallout 4 is going to happen.
But the one that's up right now has like a fake trailer and everything, and it's no.
So, and there's been a ton of this with Blizzard-related products too, fake trademarks. So, I think the lesson we all need to learn from these various fake trademark stories: stop running with articles.
How about just stop
on trade? Yeah, just stop. But trademarks don't mean anything anymore. So
trademarks, patents,
stop. Yeah.
Probably something else too.
IMDb pages.
Stop. Yeah, stop. All of it. Not news sources. These are no longer credible news sources. Done.
You're saying 4chan's not a reliable news source?
I hate to offend, but, I just... In places I think to go for gaming news, that's not really at the top of the list. Biting gaming commentary, perhaps, but not for gaming news.
For the record, SpongeBob is the devil.
Whatever, hater.
He's not the devil. He's too dumb to be the devil.
All right.
I seriously tried to watch an episode of that, and I thought I could feel my brain melting. It was awful.
It's just fucking Ren and Stimpy under the sea. That's all it is. I mean,
Ren and Stimpy was cool.
Do you hate Adventure Time too? Because that show's
awesome.
I
love Adventure Time.
Okay. I don't get you because I love Adventure Time too. But I heard the game is not so great. A friend told me that the game is like it's only fun if you have like multiplayer, but like a single player, it's the why are we in the dungeon? I don't know, or whatever that game's called. I've heard it's great for multiplayer, but for single player,
I almost picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we find it on sale, we should do a multiplayer.
I found a used copy. But
well,
just tell me which system you guys get it on, and I'll bug my D3 rep to give me a copy because he loves me. So
how about you get 3 copies? No,
yeah, I don't think that's gonna work.
Or 4. Jason wants one too. All right, let's travel around the world and check out release dates. There might not be a lot, but we'll try anyway. Release dates.
This is easy because I already memorized this one. There's only one game coming out this week, and that's Gran Turismo 6, and it's on Friday. So
nice
on PlayStation 3. Lots of cars.
Pretty big game.
Yeah.
And we don't have to wait 3 years.
All right. And so it will actually be happening. Now, how can we prove to Bobby Blackwolf that the game will actually be coming out? Because he doesn't think Gran Turismo 5 ever happened.
This is actually happening. It hasn't been delayed. They announced it was coming out, Q4 2013, and we're in Q4 2013. No delays, so we're all good.
So what we need to do is we need everybody to go to your local game store, wherever it is, and when you see Gran Turismo 6 sitting on the shelf, you need to take a picture of it and put it on Twitter, #BelieveMeBobby.
and you can drive on the moon.
Get the fuck out. You can drive on the moon?
You can drive on the moon.
Is it Moon Patrol?
No, they have a moon. You have a moon lander that you can drive, and there's actual achievements for driving on the moon.
If you could have aliens and Bill Clinton in a hot tub at the end of Cruisin' World, then,
All right. Going to Japan, you have a little more to look forward to this week. Gran Turismo 6 is there as well, but there's some other games as well. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance gets a special edition on the PlayStation 3. Daikokai Jidai Online Gran Atlus is released this week. Kaihu Shouju Sin in regular and limited edition also this week. And there are Gran Turismo 6 PlayStation 3 bundles this week. So if you're in Japan, you've been holding out on a PlayStation 3, and maybe this is the game that's going to do it for you, believe me, Bobby, it's out in Japan this week. So there you go. Also, The Walking Dead comes out in Japan. Is this the... I'm trying to look real quick. Oh, this is the Telltale version, the good one, not the crappy shooter.
Yes,
this is the good Walking Dead. Comes out in Japan this week. I imagine it must finally have been localized, and that's why it's just now getting released.
Remember, if it's survival instinct, use your instincts to not buy it.
Yes. Absolutely. But no, this is the good Walking Dead coming out on PlayStation 3 this week in Japan. Going to the Xbox 360, Batman Arkham Origins on the 360 this week. Also, there's an Xbox 360 Slim with a 320 gig hard drive being released this week. I'm not sure what that's in celebration of. Just an excuse to get another 360 on the shelf, I suppose. On the Vita this week, Batman Arkham Origins is there as well, and there's a new lime green white, pink black, and light blue white Vitas. Those models are making their way out this week. Also, Tearaway, which has been getting really good reviews over here. I haven't played it myself yet, but Tearaway finally gets its release on the Vita this week in Japan. And looking at the Wii U and the 3DS, you have Batman Arkham Origins on Wii U. Also, Dragon Quest X, which is the Dragon Quest Online. This must be some type of price reduction. Oh, no, it's the Wii U version because it was originally out on Wii. So the Wii U version finally makes its entrance in Japan this week. And those of us in America are just sitting here going, when do we get a turn? And the answer may be never, unfortunately. But on the Nintendo 3DS, Bravely Default for the sequel, Geist Crusher, Inazuma 11 Go, Galaxy Big Bang, and Galaxy Supernova, and some Hello Kitty purses and pouches for your 3DS LL, or XL, but LL in Japan, are released this week. Because you want a My Melody pouch in pink or red.
No, I want a Duffy case. Give me a Duffy case for my DS.
Stay tuned. All right, those are the releases in Japan. So a much busier week in Japan than here in the States. How about the UK?
A little busier. On the 4th, we have Dark Out for PC. On the 5th, Space Hulk on iPad. Speedball 2 HD. SteamWorld Dig for Mac and PC. And Bravely Default for the sequel on 3DS. And then on the 6th, Scribblenauts Unlimited for 3DS and Wii U.
All right, just a few more stories for you guys, then the classic game of the week. But first, Loki.
I just realized that Just Cause 2 multiplayer is coming to Steam. That's fucking awesome. So seriously, buy Just Cause 2 if you haven't already, because it's like $2. Multiplayer with but like the 1,000 people at a time.
You're giving an awful lot of endorsements tonight.
Dude, it's a sandbox game with guns and vehicles and stuff. And grappling hooks with 1,000 people at one time. I mean, come on, that sounds fucking awesome. That's what Grand Theft Auto should have been, especially with grappling hooks. Anyways, so Microsoft, of course, they're going to be launching the Xbox One in Japan later on in 2014, and to go along with that, they are teaming up with some developers. Or Japanese developers to be exact, to offer some games that may be exclusive to the Xbox One platform. And, of course, those haven't been revealed yet, but they will be full Japanese games and not like, digital games like Panzer Dragoon or something like that. And, of course, announcements coming later on about that. I'm not sure where they're supposed to announce all that stuff, but soon, hopefully. Since I want to say they're launching in the spring. I may be thinking PlayStation 3, but I don't know. That's kind of neat. At least seems to be they're taking it kind of seriously,
So maybe kind of a turnaround for what we saw in the 360, where Microsoft really wants to get their foot in Japanese households.
Maybe we'll see something like we saw with like Blue Dragon and stuff like that. Maybe something along those lines.
I imagine too this is timed because the Xbox One is not out in Japan, but perhaps they're going to start before it's released there in 2014. They're going to really start to get some of this news out here.
They can leverage Square Enix to give them another Dragon Quest game. Maybe Dragon Quest, was it
11?
11 or something?
They'd be on 11 now because they're probably not going to get 10. Well, never say never. And if Microsoft reverses its policies, Microsoft could get Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn too. It's known that Square Enix wanted to do it for 360. And it's just Microsoft's the one that did not, but they will not budge on the cross servers thing. And I props to Square Enix for not budging on that. So it'll be interesting if they can kind of sit together at the table. They did it for 11. They can do it for 14. That would be interesting. Very interesting. All right. Also interesting of note, news coming out of Japan. Super Mario 3D World, the sales figures are in, and, unfortunately it doesn't look great. There's some conflicting reports about how much it's sold. Media Create says they sold just under 100,000 units of Super Mario 3D World, and Famitsu says it was about 107K. So either way, you're looking at about 100,000 sold. Here's the thing to put that into perspective. Mario 3D Land, 344,000. That's the 3DS one. Super Mario Sunshine, 280,000, which, of the modern games, it seems like Sunshine gets dumped on the most. I'm just throwing it out there. Super Mario 64 on the 3DS, the remake, 120, still sold more than Super Mario 3D World. Now, I'm not saying this...
Are those like lifetime sales, or is that
No, first week sales. Those are all first week sales.
Okay.
Oh, no, God. Oh, all those games sold over 1 million, except for Sunshine actually didn't in Japan. Sunshine ended with 789,000 and change. But here's the thing. I don't want this to be like, we're kicking Nintendo while they're down or the sky is falling or whatever. But I bring this up because, Nintendo ain't going bankrupt, so stop those rumors and that shit.
They survived the Virtual Boy. They'll survive this.
Right. I was going to mention the numbers are on VG charts for North America.
Oh, are they? I didn't know they were out yet.
Yes, they're always a week behind, but 243,000.
Wow, okay.
America. So it's
interesting.
Not exactly a bust. Europe, did it come out over there in Europe? Let's see here. Europe, I guess it did not come out over there.
Yet.
Yeah,
but that's a very interesting silver lining, is that it sold twice as many in the U.S. as it did in Japan. That's very interesting. More than twice as many.
Hold on. It's giving me weird dates here. Okay, and then, they're saying 101, 798 is in Japan. I'm going to check Europe again because it was giving me a weird date. Oh, they don't. See, that's it. They don't have last week. They only have up to the 16th. So
the problem that people are really identifying with this is that, for the install base of the Wii U, and this is important to say, for the install base that the Wii U has currently, we all know the Wii U is struggling a little bit. It's no secret. So for the install base that the Wii U has, those numbers aren't bad. But the problem is the game was expected to push more Wii U sales, and that we're not seeing that really happen in Japan yet. Again, I think it's a little too early to say the sky is falling completely, but I think there are a lot of us that are rooting for Nintendo and really hope they can turn it around. But it's going to – I really wish they had a second game like this to really kick – I mean, they certainly have it on the 3DS, but I wish they had another game to kind of kick out the gate this winter with this to really get people talking. I guess you could say Zelda Wind Waker, but again, I just something kind of new. I don't know. I just – to really push those Wii U units, because I definitely don't want to see Nintendo fail. None of us do.
Well, that's the thing is I'm curious to see what they're selling as far as Wii U systems, because it's good that they sold those games, but I'm sure that they have more than 200,000 Wii U systems out there, and I just be curious to see how that's actually translating to new sales.
You know what? A very interesting point in our chat room at live.vognetwork.com made by Dungeon Buster, who says Lightning Returns also sold considerably less in its release window in Japan when compared to Final Fantasy 13-2, which was lower in opening sales than Final Fantasy 13. It just sounds like the sales were soft for titles in general in Japan.
And Legends of Link Between Worlds, 294,000. And that's like, that's through the 23rd. That's day one sales. So.
Oof.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised though. That game's amazing. And SG100 Matt says the game came out at a bad time with all the new consoles coming out now. Not in Japan though. Remember, Japan didn't have a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One until next year.
But Xbox One, no, but it was still imminent for the PlayStation 4.
Well, Nintendo's kind of competing against themselves in a way in Japan right now with 3DS. I mean, sure, Sony's trying to up the presence with the Vita, and it's somewhat working. But Nintendo's biggest enemy in a way is a 3DS. Gaming on the go. Don't underestimate how huge gaming on the go is over there.
I mean, obviously, considering all the devices that you kids are all distracting yourselves with right now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, clearly. Well, not this week, but to your credit, you don't have Animal Crossing right now. I didn't even consider
It's in my
that.
purse. And I have Zelda plugged in right now, actually. No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I should log in.
You should.
Should open the gate. No, I definitely agree with that point that it's trending mobile, and when you're trying to hold on to, the same issue with PC desktops and everything else. These older, inflexible. Yeah, they may have more features, but you cannot play them anywhere else without difficulty. You're right. Mobile is the up and comer, and it will be biting sales out from a lot of other things.
All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, week one. Let's see how this game does through the holiday season. We'll see, but it could be very interesting to see what this is going to have Nintendo doing in 2014. But you know what? It's not over. It ain't over. All right. Let's move on. You know what? Let's move back to a classic time when we didn't fucking stress on how well a game sold because we didn't find out for like 3 months because we got all our news from magazines.
I want to know what's up with Jason's monkey hat.
You're talking about on the 3DS, right?
Yes.
It's a Rhythm
Right.
Heaven monkey.
Well, let's travel back to a time when we were getting our news from magazines and we were playing classic video games on classic consoles. Back when the Nintendo that was on the block was the Super Nintendo. It's the classic game of the week, y'all, where Dark Soccer jumps into the vault and picks a game that she thinks, hey, you should be playing this. Why? Because it's rad. Tonight's pick, definitely rad. Dark Soccer, what'd you pick tonight?
I picked Marble Madness just because I had that stupid level 2 music stuck in my head. Do 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 do.
How
that
have you
one.
never picked this game before? It's so
Because
good.
I was never a super fan of Marble Madness because
Sorry.
it pisses me off. Fucking
Sorry,
game.
very very loud dongs from Marble Madness. Sorry, guys.
But the best music was the level 2 music, for the record.
Yes.
At any rate, it was designed by Mark Kearney, and it came out in 1984. It was an arcade game. It was one of the most innovative games when it came out. It used the Atari System 1 hardware and programmed in C. One of the first games to be programmed in C on that hardware. It was also the first to use true stereo sound. Previous ones used simulated stereo or mono. So this one basically, in fact, I'm actually just going to pull this quote right here. It was the designer drew inspiration from mini golf racing games and MC Escher, which we can totally see where that came from. So basically, the way you play Marble Madness is you are a little marble and you work your marble through mazes of different kind, but you use a trackball, although home versions used different controllers with directional pads, which is probably why I hated playing it on the NES. So yeah, you have a different, you can do practice. Each one has a theme. There's even like a backwards level where you go up instead of the usual down the course type of method. The other thing with this one, too, is that it was just a really freaking bizarre and neat game for its time. I mean, what was... I'm trying to think of what the word I'm trying to think of for the perspective.
Isometric.
Thank you, isometric. It uses an isometric perspective. You're looking at it on a diagonal. It simulates a feeling of 3 dimensions very nicely.
Sorry, I'm just watching this awesome badass
I know,
playing
right?
it here on YouTube, and he's in that upside down level right now, and I'm just remembering what a mindfuck that level was, because like gravity goes the other way, and you don't know how bad that messes with you until you play it.
Oh yeah, I mean the whole game was just such a neat game. And I mean, and on top of that, this is an arcade when he's doing it with a trackball. You have to play this game with a trackball if you want to play it with any kind of accuracy. I do believe I actually have this on Atari 5200. I want to say, because we've got a trackball. Anyway, moving back into some of the background on the game. Actually, the guy who was working on this was supposed to be doing a video game version of Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, and it was canceled, so they moved into Marble Madness. This particular one, at its time, was using a 19-inch CRT monitor and a Motorola 68010 central processing unit. And it just basically was pretty tech-heavy for its time. I mean, it was at the edge. So as far as other... and there are whole... just different kinds of programming tricks that went into this game. It did shadows to... control anti-aliasing. It did light ray tracing. I mean, the technology behind this game, it's a programming marvel for its time, I mean, to be honest. There's actually, I believe, a whole site full of nothing but concept sketches that went behind this and the programming direction. Really neat stuff. So it was a big commercial success. There were 4,000 cabinets sold, and it was its highest earning game in arcades at the time, but then it fell after 7 weeks. And really, it was because it's such a short game. But it is still...
And people just got frustrated to hell.
Yeah. The lot of thing is that because it took such a high level of skill to play, that's what made it really just... an attractive game to have, an attractive game to play. So, with that too, there were other versions and a potential sequel. And I will go ahead and put this out there. I think that Super Monkey Ball was definitely influenced by this game.
Absolutely.
So as far as other versions, there was a Tiger Electronics handheld LCD game, which I had, and Rare released the Nintendo version. They were all very simple. They, weren't as great, clearly, as the arcade one. Other versions that came out were the Amiga, Game Boy, Sega Mega Drive, the Spectrum, PC, and GBA. There's just all kinds of different versions. Of course, we've seen the re-releases on more modern systems in the various Midway compilations and Williams compilations. There was an arcade sequel that was planned in 1991 called Marble Madness 2. It was in development by Kearney's partner for the first one, Bob Flanagan. But it was supposed to expand, have invisibility, flight modes, pinball games set in between the levels, and 3-player isometric racing. But it just didn't happen. There were prototypes that were out for location testing, but you know what it was going against at the time? Street Fighter 2. And that was also in testing at the time. So, yeah. So they went off of that and went to Guardians of the Hood instead, which is a beat-em-up game. But the prototypes exist, and I'm sure you can find ROMs of them. So I would love to see what people think about it. But as far as, that goes, there were some spiritual successors too. I mean, I said, Super Monkey Ball kind of doing the successor thing. There was a Archer McLean's Mercury, Switchball, Neverball, Marble Blast Gold that's on Linux and Mac OS and Windows. It came out in 2003. Ballance, and I'm saying that because there's 2 L's in it. Just all kinds of different ones. So, but nothing is the original. Nothing will piss you off and make you hit.
Nothing will make you love a trackball and respect the trackball.
Oh, fuck yeah. This game is damn near impossible without a trackball. I mean, that's just how it is. So, yeah, Marble Madness. But you have to play the level 2 music for me because it's the best.
I've just played it like 5 times.
Yeah, but I was talking.
You had so much to say about the game.
This is seriously like my favorite music. And
Are you happy now?
I'll tell you the other thing I really like about this is that it reminds me of Wendy, what's her name, that did the Tron music.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've always loved that synth style, just that
FM synth.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I love it so much. So this, God, why can't I remember her last name now? Wendy, does it start with an O?
Wendy Carlos.
Wendy Carlos. Okay. It's C-O.
Has a no.
It's
It has
an
an O.
arched letter. It made me think a lot of Wendy Carlos's music. Well, I mean, it came out 2 years after Tron, so I could definitely see there being influence in the music. And even that grid style. If you notice the colors in some of the levels in that style, I see some Tron influence, so...
All right. There it is, your classic game of the week, Marble Madness. Definitely a classic, and you can certainly find that in collections. Like, I think that Midway game I had on the PS3 for a little bit had that in it. But again, thumbstick versus trackball, not the same, sorry to say.
There's another successor that she didn't mention. I'm pretty sure I even called into OLR about this, 5 years ago, because a buddy of mine had a copy of this, and I've never played it since, and I really want to, called Kororimpa Marble Mania.
I've
exclusive.
heard of...
You play the game, I think it was Mario Galaxy or Mario Galaxy 2, when your character jumps on like a big bowling ball and goes down a track. What the game tells you to do is take the Wiimote and put the bottom in the palm of your hand and treat it like an arcade stand-up joystick kind of thing. Kororimpa uses that control method exactly, and
I forgot about Kororimpa.
Surprisingly fun.
I actually have that. I have
fun.
that game. It is totally a Marble Madness biting, but it's great. It's great.
I need to play this game again.
All right.
Apparently
Well,
Amazon
you
doesn't have it.
can if you want. It's right over
Don't
there.
they have like a
I'm not
pig
sure.
ball or something like that?
Yeah. They have a lot of different little stuff. It's cute.
Kickball, soccer, basketball, panda.
Yeah, they did.
And they all
like-
have different
like-
weight and stickiness profiles, too. And it was so much fun.
Stickiness profile, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's plenty more Orange Lounge ready to come. I hope y'all
Thanks,
brought your
Rob.
sleeping bags because it's going all night tonight. No, we will try to tear through the news in the second half quickly so we can get to your calls, your emails, the FUs of the week, Fugu question of the week, and so much more. When we come back, plenty more Orange Lounge ready to come. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio, live on this Sunday night, December the 1st of 2013. I cannot believe it is already December, and we're almost to 2014. Episode number 529 of our show. I cannot believe we have done 529 episodes of this show. Where does the time go? But this has been a really fun show so far. We had Matt Conn on earlier talking about his Kickstarter for... Read-Only Memories and GaymerX, and that was a really fun interview. We were just talking about that during the break, how that was a lot of fun, and also kind of talking about during the break. I know we're getting into one of the stories here. It's going to come up in Rapid Fire News, but you're also talking a little bit about what other game did you bring up during the break? Damn it,
Fantasia.
Oh yeah, Fantasia. You were saying something about where's that Xbox One game Fantasia that was supposed to be out? I was actually wondering that exact same thing the other day. I looked at it; got delayed to 2014. Fantasia, the music evolved from Harmonix.
Yeah,
I was like, when did that happen? Just kind of out of the blue, I guess.
I haven't seen anything from Microsoft on that. Of course, a lot of their first-party titles. Well, I should say only one of their first-party titles actually got delayed as well.
Really?
It was Kinect Sports.
Oh yeah. That's right. But weren't they doing like a demo thing?
They have a demo thing going on.
Yeah,
right
like what
now.
Nintendo did with the Wii Sports remake.
But that's been delayed. I think it was delayed just because there's a big gap in titles coming out. Like I said, after this week,
Ghost
next
Town.
week is a Vita game and a PlayStation 3 title that's been delayed forever, Painkiller.
You know what? Do what Dark Soccer's doing. Do one game a week to help get caught up on your backlog.
Yep, at least, look at them.
What a pretty box this is in.
No, it's like, oh... I've played it. Look, I have a screen capture. I'm done.
Well, it's even worse
wait for the game to install.
because I still have PlayStation Plus stuff too. I keep bookmarking all this stuff, and I'm like, shit! I have so many games to play.
Well, what a great transition into our rapid fire news tonight, because Loki, it sounds like you're going to get even more pretty soon, right?
Yes, in fact, I was just checking to see if they had them online, but it hasn't been updated yet. There are going to
Try Tuesday.
Yeah. There's going to be some more stuff being added to PlayStation Plus for December, including Borderlands 2 and Grid 2. Those will be coming as well. And then on, let's see here. Oh, and Dyad is also going to be coming to play free as well. Dyad. I remember hearing about the game, but I don't remember what it is exactly. But it's supposed to be good. And then I think that was the one that's supposed to be sort of like Geometry Wars, maybe.
I'm trying to look it up real quick because it's one
Psychedelic Racer.
It sounds familiar to me too. It's a tunnel racing puzzle shooting game, is what they call it.
Okay, well then it's nothing like Geometry Wars.
Hey, it sounds cool though. I like that description. I'll check that out.
Then for Vita, Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed for the Vita and Urban Trial Freestyle. Pretty awesome. So that's coming out. And then to be fair, I think on the Xbox front, I know Gears of War is going to be one of the free games. I don't remember the Xbox Live Arcade title that's also with that, though. But yeah, Gears of War 1 coming. And then Saints Row 4 getting some DLC pretty soon. Actually, I think next week or on the 11th. And they're going to have to save Santa Claus from the simulation. So how the Saints saved Christmas. And it will come with, of course, as I predicted, a Christmas-themed dubstep gun. And then a bunch of other, things, reindeer.
Jingle bells, jingle.
So pretty much.
Yeah, it's part of the season pass or $6.99 if you wait until December. I will have you know, though, if you do buy the season pass, I think right now it's on sale for 66% off. It's like $5 right now, or on Steam, so it might be worth picking that up if you're curious, I guess.
Okay, Jason, I got it. You ready? Come, they told me, wub 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 pum. Huh? You like that?
That was good.
I'm gonna put out an album. Swear to God.
That
wub 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 pum. Wub wub
Very
wub
good.
pum.
Well done.
Wub wub wub.
Oh God. And then some great news, and definitely coming very soon. In December, we will see the final PlayStation 2 Grand Theft Auto game coming to mobile. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas getting an improved, I believe, slightly HD version. That'll be coming out, not sure when, but sometime this month. Supposed to be on iOS and Android and Windows Mobile. Of course, limited devices are going to be able to run that. But fuck, man, San Andreas is one of the best PlayStation 2 era Grand Theft Auto games, and that's just all sorts of awesome. Now, I hope that means now that they have all these sort of HD-ified Grand Theft Auto games that we get some sort of triple pack for Xbox Live Arcade or something like that. That would be amazing. Because it fucking sucks to play those games on using the touchscreen. Although, Grand Theft Auto Vice City and I think 3 did run on the Ouya, so you may be able to sideload this on the Ouya. Which then you'll have a PlayStation 2 sort of. Oh.
All right. Moving on, some more stories here. I know we had a lot of Persona news last week because, they're teasing Persona 5 and so forth, but who cares about that when there's Persona 4 Dancing All Night? That's right, the Persona music action game. That's the one you're most excited about. Let's get real. It is being developed by Atlus and the co-developer of Hatsune Miku Project Diva, Dingo. Awesome. The game will take place after Persona 4, the Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold. And Tetsuya Komuro and Daisuke Asakura and some other musicians will be doing the background music for the game. Some of the games in the game will include Pursuing My True Self, Heaven, Reach Out to the Truth, Time to Make History, and True Story, which were all songs that were in Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden. So, awesome. Now the song list is starting to take shape. So, I know you Persona fans and you music game fans are going to be in heaven with that. If you like your classic games like me, you're probably excited to hear about this, Jumpman.
Whoa!
Ironically, one of the games the game I did for my very
totally
first,
because you did that.
I know, right? Right. My first Let's Remember video. Well, get this: the game developer apparently resurrecting Jumpman is located in Wichita, where Shane Alenko is mind blown. something gaming is happening in Wichita. Go figure. But Wichita game developer's name is Davis Sickman Jr. He's raising some money with a Kickstarter to try to revive the Jumpman games for iPhone, iPad, Android, PC, Mac, and Ouya. So that's pretty cool. Jumpman, of course, originally created by Randy Glover for the Atari and the old school PCs and Commodore 64. The initial version had 30 levels and so on and so on. So, yeah, that would be cool. There was a Jumpman Resurrection project planned around 2000 when they secured the rights to do sequels, but it didn't really come to be. I guess there was Jumpman 2049, but it didn't really happen. But thanks to Kickstarter, Jumpman Forever could be a thing.
Nothing ever works out 2049.
What if they did a crossover game that was Doodle Jumpman?
There's potential. You never know. All right. There's a lot of potential in the awesome game Typing of the Dead Overkill. Heck yes. This game's a lot of fun. I played it again with, speaking of Shane in Wichita, played this online this past week. And the one thing we didn't get to do, unfortunately, was try the brand new DLC that was released this week. The Shakespeare DLC pack. That's right. For $3, you can get all the typing in the game changed to lines as, "To thine O self, quintessence of dust, and bellows mender." So you can actually type.
Do we get the line about the bunghole from Hamlet?
Anything is possible, Dark Soccer.
You know what a bunghole is, right? For real.
No, I have heard it in the Shakespearean context, yeah.
It is the hole on a keg.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know.
As opposed to the hole on your keg. Anyway. That's all I got, Dark Sakura.
Dang it. I was actually looking at the email. Well, there is a website now open for the Virtua Fighter 20th anniversary. So you can go look at it. I'm sure you can just hunt it down by going to, looking up Virtua Fighter 20th anniversary site. But it has some teasing on there, too. What could it be? We don't know. Moving forward, Atlus is basically free to look at any of Sega's old IPs, any of their dormant ones. So, that could be Panzer Dragoon, that could be Jet Set Radio, that could be Shenmue. So, who knows? Or it could just be Streets of Rage.
By the way, there's that silver lining I mentioned earlier about Shenmue.
They should make a spin-off game where the main character is a cow and they call it Shenmue.
Shenmue. Okay. So, and then now this, I actually sat and watched freaking footage from is 2 hours watching this thing today. And this one, I'm going to go ahead and just give the link to this. This is on shoryuken.com. Ultra Street Fighter 4 is at Super Arcade in Walnut, California. And it is basically location testing. But there was a 2-hour just play of some of the different characters that are in it. We have T-Hawk, we have Rolento, we have Elena, Makoto, and Poison. I was very happily surprised at just how much more balanced some of the gameplay seems in it. But you can watch the footage. There's a link following from shoryuken.com, so go look at it.
All right, awesome. Lots of. I would think this would be a dead period for gaming news, but we still got a lot of good stuff going on out there. Let's get to the Fugle question of the week.
It's Radio
You take Facebook and you take Google Plus and you slam those words together, you get Fugle. And it's our Fugle question of the week, posted on both our communities over at facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio and our Google Plus community at google.com/plus Orange Lounge Radio, all one word. Or you know what? If you put Orange Lounge Radio on Google, you'll find it. It comes right up. Anyway, I'm only going to be able to read a couple. I'm trying to buy us back some time since our interview went long, but with great reason. It was a great interview. But I'm going to try to buy back some time here, so I'm not going to read a lot of answers, but I really want to encourage you to read because there were some great answers to this. So here it is. Earlier this week, one popular web blog for Apple fans made the claim, quote, while the previous game console generation was all about motion controls, it's clear that the new machines will use second screen functionality and apps as major weapons of war. And that was a quote from the unofficial Apple web blog, or tuaw.com. Now that all the AAA players are on the field, what do you feel was the majority theme of the last generation? What might the theme of the next generation be? More motion, second screens, VR, AR, more 3D, and so on. And fact you guys may not have known, this question today coming from Jason.
Yay.
Actually invented this question. Jason, do you want to elaborate on this at all before I read some of the answers?
Just nothing terribly to elaborate on. I just don't think that second screen is going to wind up making any sort of a significant dent. I think the apps are getting better and they're going to exist, but as far as that being this year's motion, that's not going to be nearly all it's cracked up to be.
All right. Well, let's look at some of the answers. Again, I've really got to abbreviate this tonight. Please go read the responses in full because there's some great ones, including this one on Google Plus from Colin M., who says, last gen felt like the Me Too generation. The Wii introduced motion controls, and Sony was like, me too, with the 6-axis. Microsoft at least tried something new with the Kinect. I think that I just got to say, I really like that answer. Because, well, I mean, for real, because, I mean, I haven't even read the second half yet, but I was like, you know what? Damn if that ain't right. It does feel like everybody was kind of stealing the good ideas from each other. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. That's just competition. But you, like, I couldn't go back to, like, even the PlayStation 1 and Sega's, you know, Saturn era and talk about, like, that was a Me Too generation. It really wasn't.
Optical media.
Yeah, I mean, but that's...
But, a new format which is
that's not
leagues
really,
above and better of all the cartridges ever.
That's not Me Too in the way that E3 a couple years ago when they debuted the Kinect and the Sony Move, you were sitting there going, wow, they're just after Nintendo's Weave, aren't they? So, you know, it's very interesting. Anyway, let me read the rest of Colin's answer here on Google+. I think the defining feature of this new gen will be social interaction. Both the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 have activity feeds a la Facebook to show you what your friends are doing. Even the Wii U has that plaza of sorts. Then they're sharing videos of the games and live streaming. Seamless multiplayer experiences such as Watch Dogs will blur the line between single-player and multiplayer gaming. This next gen will be all about other people. Jason, you made a motion like, I agree. Yes, sir.
That's exactly what my prediction for this generation is going to be, is that last year was better graphics, denser media, mostly, and motion controls, yes, and except in the case of Wii, mostly cementing the online marketplace and online interactivity. I have a very strong feeling that this generation, also in PC land, is going to be not just developing a title, updating it, and moving on, but it's going to be more socially geared with your friends, but also gaming communities. Do you know how much new Borderlands 2 content there is? Do you know how much new Diablo content there is? There's, like, all of these games are geared with the ability of, with the capability of tacking new content on continuously. In my opinion, microtransactions be damned. It's kind of a really good thing because they're going to extend the lives of games and keep changing it in significant ways.
All right, let's go to one more answer from Google Plus from Travis H., who says, 3D makes my head hurt. Motion control frustrates me and makes me break a sweat, and I'm almost positive VR would make me throw up. So let's stick to buttons. Gripping and movie-quality storylines and gameplay that pushes the limits of what we have already seen or felt so far. As for second screen, bring it on. I love how well the Vita and PS3 play together. Can't wait to get my PS4. Love my Wii U, and the new PlayStation app they added is a great step in the right direction for Sony. So instead of mobile's attempt to take over consoles, let's make a baby and all get along. So that is Travis's prediction for let's make a baby and all get along. Love it. Those answers from Google Plus, but there's about 6 other answers there if you want to check that out.
We can call it the X4U.
Going to Facebook, let's read some answers here on Facebook. You know, I might be being partial here, but I really like this answer from Xtifer, our buddy from Horde House. Xtifer over on Facebook says, I think smartphone integration is definitely the theme of this console generation. Whether it's second screen experience or having companion apps for your games, I think that's what it's about. Heck, even Nintendo has branched out and made Miiverse available on smartphones. I think this is the major companies doing their part to not compete with mobile phones, but to show that they can adapt to them. Let's make a baby, right? Let's read another answer here from Ricardo V, who says, I don't think the last generation was about motion controls. Maybe the marketing makes it look that way because it was the new thing. But at the end, I think it was more about giving a cinematic feel to games. Lots of scripted events, animations of characters with the environment as you played, etc. Clear examples of that are games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, and BioShock Infinite. I still don't have a new console, but I think we started seeing what the new gen is about in the previous gen. Integration of indie games into the consoles, multitasking, and cloud and digital content. Good answer. I like that too. And certainly, even though I think you saw it a little bit with PlayStation 2, just that when you talk about cinematic feel, like certainly the budgets are starting to get up there where it's like you're making 3 movies when you make a video game, you know, just with what goes into it. So I definitely think that took off, and especially those games you cited there. Let's do one more answer from Facebook. I'm going to do this one from Andy R, who said, I think the theme of this generation will be connectivity. By that, I mean games that might have been mostly single-player games in the past that are now offering incentive to connect to the internet to evolve the game world. We saw the beginnings of it with games like Dark Souls or Demon Souls or Journey, where playing the game online could change or enhance the gameplay experience. Now with games like Watch Dogs or Destiny, the theme seems to be continuing. Again, those are some of the answers from Facebook and Google+. Please check out all the great, diverse answers, and it's never too late to add your own as well. It's not like we close it down, and we read pretty much everything that's posted, at least to ourselves, and we like seeing the diverse opinions and see what comes back on the show later on. We're going to get back into some long-form news, but if you have more thoughts on this topic, mailbag@orangelaunchradio.com is a great place to send it to. Loki.
I was going to say also, I definitely don't think motion control was... I think the problem with motion control, and this was even going to be something going into next gen with Kinect and stuff, is just... It's a gimmick. It's just like, remember when they had the Vision camera? Yeah.
It's a gimmick that sold more copies of Wii Sports than any other video game in history. No, I'm not
saying that we did it wrong. We had the right idea, because their whole console is based on that in the beginning. And, you know, that was fine, and that worked. I'm talking about the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. It did not work. It was a fad. And I honestly think...
Did you just make a pro-Nintendo statement versus the other two?
I've always said that.
I'm just saying. It's just funny.
Anyways, so I think the same's going to be said with the second screen stuff, is I think it's just a big old gimmick that, you know, it's definitely something Microsoft's pushing because they want that second screen to be a fucking Surface, you know? So, of course, they're going to try to push that, or a Windows Phone or some shit. I just don't think it's something that we're going to see implemented well into games. You may get a couple games that implement it well, but aside from that, I mean, just look what they've done with Kinect. It's voice commands for shit. Or it's FIFA detecting that you're cursing so they can flag you. Why the fuck would you want that? I just don't know why anyone would want that. Whatever. Anyways. Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about the Xbox One, since I mentioned Kinect. You may remember last week we talked a little bit about how the Xbox One had some issues with some of the consoles that, hey, there was disk drive sounding like that it was shredding the disc. You know, at least that's what it sounded like. And it was an issue, and I said, you know, they really should come out and address the issue and figure out a way to, you know, appease customers and stuff like that. So that's what they did. They went ahead and said, you know what? They're going to replace the console. What's kind of great about it is if you call in and say, hey, you know, my console's all fucked up, what they're going to do is give you a free digital version of one of the Xbox One launch titles, so either Forza, Rise Son of Rome, Dead Rising 3, or Zoo Tycoon, and you get to keep your console until the replacement console arrives, and you send the replacement console back. So I thought that's a pretty decent way to make up for those drive issues, and I haven't heard too much more about it this week, so I'm assuming that it was indeed a very small number of consoles that were affected by it.
Well, thank God that it's not so widespread, 'cause
I think that they learned their lesson the last time.
yeah,
They
think
do
every
not want to
company
make
did.
that mistake again.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, this could get very interesting. Could EA be working on an open-world Star Wars game? Some recent job listings apparently point to this, which of course makes me raise an eyebrow and go, but I thought they already had a Star Wars MMO called The Old Republic. But perhaps something new to tie in with the new games, or maybe not even necessarily an MMO, but an animation director being hired for EA Canada for, quote, a major new next-gen open-world action game in a beloved sci-fi property.
Sounds like Battlefront to me.
Yeah, maybe. There's also an executive producer position and a lead combat designer position, which apparently was also linked to a Star Wars property because a recruiter said something on Twitter. I don't know. But anyway, apparently this goes back to when Avalanche Studios was working with LucasArts, or almost signed up with LucasArts to do an open-world Star Wars game around 2007.
Oh my god, that would have been so amazing.
And then you guys remember Star Wars 1313? That was something that was supposed to be... Disney canned it, if you didn't know. Disney closed developer. That halted the game. Could that be the game that's being picked up and continued? Question mark. Who knows? EA, of course, has the exclusive rights to develop and continue the Star Wars games. So I'm sure something will happen by December 2015 when the new Star Wars movie comes out. Guaranteed.
You know, Avalanche is the company behind Just Cause, which makes it very exciting. And they also have the new Mad Max game coming out, so that could be very awesome.
I liked the trailer for that.
They know how to make a good multiplayer game, or new open-world game.
So it's December 2013 now, so you got 2 years to make it happen. It sounds like they already got started, so we'll see what happens.
Don't make me feel older.
Just think about how old we're going to be when the new Star Wars movie finally comes out, or the Warcraft movie.
Do you know what is next year?
Huh.
My 20th high school reunion.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So
are you going to go?
If someone gives me $400 for the plane ticket, yeah. I'm going to try to.
My 10-year reunion was practically just downtown where I go all the time. Didn't go.
Yeah, well, you're not from another state, Rad.
I'm not, but I'm just saying. Anybody.
My 10-year reunion was crap.
I don't think we had one for mine. If we did, I didn't care.
Most people I want to keep in touch with, I still talk to on Facebook.
It was garbage.
Yeah, I actually keep up with those people, some of those people now on Facebook, and I'm like, you have kids. I have a cat.
There would
I
be.
love my cat.
High school was such a bad time. In some ways, it was good. In some ways, it was bad. I want to make it sound like poor me because we all had bad experiences, I'm sure. But there's just some people from high school I would really love to go my entire life and just never see again, and that would be.
Yeah.
I would be very happy with that.
I can sympathize with that. I just want to bring Dan and have Dan, and then leave early like I did for homecoming my senior year. So I was like, bye. This place sucks. Hey, don't I have a story to do?
Yes, you do.
Well, how about some WoW news? Because we've got, oh my god, Space Goats Coast to Coast.
Can't wait.
I know, but I'm not playing it because I promised I wasn't going to get it. But their lead designer, the lead system designer, Greg Street, left Blizzard. He said, bye, I'm gone. Actually, what he said is that, and this is a quote, I have been at Blizzard Entertainment for almost 6 years. It has been epic, and I have made many friends around the world, and I've learned so much, but I have a great opportunity for something new and exciting. Sadly, it is time to move on. He's also going to Oculus.
No, we don't know. There's a
we
lot
don't
of
know.
There's a lot of tinfoil. Being on Horde House, I talk to a lot of Warcraft people. There's some tinfoil hats in the community that he possibly went to Riot Games, maker of League of Legends, also in LA. This is based on a total conspiracy theory about who he follows on Twitter, which is interesting. But if he quit Warcraft to go to League of Legends, he'd just be like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I'm bummed.
Which is strange
That was a
considering that
joke.
Blizzard's new one is coming out.
was a-
but
Yeah,
joke.
but the funny part is that it's not funny.
I know. All right.
I just like.
Well, you know what? People go, and people moving from company to company usually isn't news. But the thing about World of Warcraft, man,
quasi related question to that comment. Do those
Sure.
conspiracy theories come from people in California or outside of California?
all over. They come from the internet.
Well, it's a meaningful question to me because my coworkers, those that have lived in the Bay Area, the better part of their lives, have a lot of friends at a lot of companies, either personally or professionally, including our competitors and everything else. And
GitHub has competitors? I didn't know that. I kind of thought they did their own thing.
Very much no.
Oh, wow, okay.
There are the detail is the depth is infinite. It's everybody has the this is better, this is worse, has the confrontational aspect of it, and sure that exists at a professional level as well, but it's not. Maybe I shouldn't rip back the veil, but it's not like death threats and at odds ends with each other. I mean, we just had a charity dodgeball game where our best friends at competing companies came out for a good cause as well. We do whenever we throw drink ups, people from all of these companies come out. It's not, professionally it's competition, but that's healthy, and the people that make it up are good people.
For the short time that I interned at a local TV news station, because I was going to be just like Ron Burgundy one day, and here I am. But I interned at a local TV station, and they would, about once every 3 months, there would be a big get-together of all the local news people from all, like NBC, CBS, all of them would just go have dinner one night. It's not like they all hated each other, because a lot of times, and especially look at your own local TV news, they trade people all the time, and people go to jobs at other companies, and it just something that happens.
Yeah, this is industry. This is why there's conventions, professional conventions, where all of these same people talk, discuss, and meet all the rest of these people. Right. And it's also why you don't truly have companies that just bicker back and forth in the same industry and are just like at odds ends with people. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting insight for me to have now as well.
Let's move on with some more stories. Loki.
All right. So, one of the first things, of course, to come out of a tragedy like Sandy Hook was, let's blame video games, because obviously this person had video games, played video games. Clearly, video games must have caused it, because we could also draw that conclusion to food. Food must have caused this because he eats food, therefore, food caused murder. Anyway, so there was a report that was done, showing all the different games he played and stuff. And unfortunately, even though, with that profile and everything, it didn't tie with the games at all. He played video games often, both solo, home, and online. They can be described as both violent and non-violent. One person described the shooter as spending the majority of his time playing non-violent video games all day, with one of his favorites at one point being Super Mario Bros. There you go. Super Mario Bros. Causes mass murder.
Well, there was a... I'll let you finish, because I'm about to drag a bit.
It's the shadow people that live on top of the cliff in the galaxy.
About to drag a bit.
In conclusion, what we do know is the shooter had significant mental health issues, while not affecting the criminality of the shooter's mental state for the crimes or his criminal responsibility for them. Did affect his ability to live a normal life and interact with others whom he should have been close with, and video games did not play a part in that. So, yeah. And it's funny is even though after that came out, of course, the NRA issued a statement blaming or actually, no, I'm sorry, this is referring back to the original thing where the NRA blamed it. Of course, no traction on that. No retraction from the NRA about being wrong or anything. So.
As they usually are.
I was looking at Twitter this week, as I usually do during the day, and I saw a link, and I made the mistake of clicking on it, even though I saw the name Kotaku in the URL, and my eyes rolled so far to the back of my head I could see my fucking brain, because they ran a story about how the Sandy Hook shooter, his favorite game was Dance Dance Revolution, and this guy played DDR all the time, and da-da-da-da-da, and all I could really think of, I was just like, Kotaku, please shut the fuck up. Please shut up.
I saw these links. I didn't read the article. Surely they were making it tongue-in-cheek and making the same point that we are.
Which I'm just sitting here going, why are you perpetuating this whole... I mean, it's kind of irresponsible. It's clearly clickbait. It's clearly this whole... And I'm not even saying this because I played DDR for years and years, because unlike what you do when you run a story like this, I don't give this shit any credit at all. Clearly, and even the professionals have now said the video games had nothing to do with it. And, what happened obviously was a huge tragedy. Let's not forget, just how awful and fucked up what this guy did was. People want to blame something for it. The unfortunate reality is there may not be anything we can blame but evil.
Mental health. There's that too.
That's speculation. It's just
but with the state of, I hate to go into the politics of it, but
I know.
But we don't give enough attention to mental health.
There's
and
definitely
background checks.
There's definitely a lot of stigma with that, and we have to break down those walls a lot. And I would agree with you there that clearly he had issues that weren't being addressed.
I don't know. Trying to beat those 9-footers might frustrate someone into. No, I'm serious.
But yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying, the ban on that website continues, and shame on me for being dumb enough to click a link like that, but I was just like, no, they could. Oh my God.
Every so often you have to confirm that, yes, they're stupid.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those, like, Lord, get a... Ugh. Anyhow, let's see. Going to our chat room at live.vognetwork.com, SSJ100 Matt says, basically this report answered no questions. Yeah. Let's see. Akuma...
The Peggle pervert.
The Bagel pervert, says Seahal in chat. Oh, Lord. All right. Let's move on. More stories. And I will go next.
Well, you remember also, too, that people used to blame D&D on making people be devil worshippers.
Yes.
And
when my mom found out I played D&D in high school, she, threw a fit because she thought it was devil worship.
Well, my grandmom did the same thing. So when I'd go play D&D at my friend Derek's house, I'd be, bye, we're off for our weekly chicken sacrifice.
Rob, you are not worshiping the devil, are you, Rob? Is that what you're doing? That's what they said on Oprah,
I love your
Rob.
Mom.
Rob, don't play Dungeons and Dragons. Rob. That's what it was like.
It's like, they said on the 700 Club that
well, they don't
game
even.
leads
My
to
parents
devil.
don't even watch that shit, so I don't even know how they got on board.
By the way,
or when they started caring if I worship.
Did you hear that the guy that started the Trinity Broadcasting Network died?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he died yesterday. That Fast and Furious dude too, but
yeah, I was gonna say all I heard about on Facebook was the guy from Fast and the Furious.
But that guy died too, and no one cared.
Well, because I'm not even gonna finish my thought, or I'm gonna be a bad person. So I'm just gonna bite my tongue and talk about the PlayStation 4.
Yay!
And well, here's the thing about the PlayStation 4: it may not last long. Hold on, I'm not trolling. Here's the thing: there was a comment from Sony UK boss Fergal Gara, because of course the PlayStation just launched in the UK this week, so there's a lot of stuff in the media over there this week. And Fergal Gara made a very interesting comment saying, quote, I think there's reasons to believe that the next cycle might be shorter in markets such as the UK. It's probably a sign of the times and how much has changed in 7 years, but I think the willingness and the appetite to pick up new technology fast has probably changed quite a bit. So all this coming down to, will the PS4 be a 10-year life cycle? Maybe not.
Horseshit.
Please.
And this is going back to the question of the week, and this is a question I've had in my mind for a very long time. As far as a new console, a new technology, and an overhaul, what the hell else are they going to do? The video game, the quality, the visual aspect and quality of video games has improved dramatically, and considering that unless everybody balks on 4K and rolls that into a new technology, there's no visual dramatic changes that they can make in the next 5 years.
Jason, I want to say yes, but when I was 12 years old and saw Super Nintendo Mode 7 for the first time, I was like, it's so fucking real. It'll never get more real than that. Oh, my God. Cool.
But that is a terrible comparison.
Fuck you, too.
Because, the quality standard is cinema/real life.
It's one step closer to the holodeck, Jason. That's what we always say on the show. Every console is one step closer to the holodeck.
But that would be a different technology. That's not just a graphical improvement, which is what I'm claiming right now. But there's nothing that can take that mantle in the next generation to make the PS4's timeline life cycle be less than 4 years.
Microsoft Lightroom, Jason. It's gonna holodeck your walls.
Listen,
hell no.
Rob, the difference would be moving from a. I don't really think you can use the holodeck as a graphical comparison, because this is what I'm saying.
One step closer, Jamie. We're not going to be at the holodeck the next generation. It would be awesome if we were. I'd like
Boom.
A more apt comparison would be...
Shut up.
Would be leaving your monitor for a holographic interface.
Well, that's what they have in the Hunger Games.
That was the correct reaction.
The end game can only be one thing.
I hope I didn't break the mic.
Listen, the end game can only be one thing. And that's where the boobies become real and you can put your penis in it. That is really the end game that anyone can expect. Because where do you need to go beyond that? Nowhere. You don't need to go
not
anywhere.
Everybody is interested in that, thank you.
I understand that, but that's going to be the end game.
I want fluffy kitties. I want to be able to pet the kitties in the game.
As do I, but I'm just saying.
There will be a switch.
There will be pussy.
There will be a switch, just like on the old Atari 2600 Game Select. There will be booby and kitty. And then, of course,
other kitty.
No pants. No pants.
And ferret mode.
Moving on. All right. SSJ 100 Matt in chat says, one step closer to the edge and it's about to break. Just like this show.
We've been one step to the edge since episode 3, okay? And I wasn't even here.
Dark Soccer.
I was sleeping in a closet.
Read
for
a
reals.
story, damn it.
You know what, Rob? Pet the pussy. I was just reading chat room.
Come here, Sanrio.
She came out for a little bit. I was surprised.
Dark Soccer said to pay you.
Now, this is one thing that is super cool if we can get away from the bullshittery of, fake reporting and all the gun violence and pussies. Everybody.
Those two last statements do go well together.
You know what? Whatever. I was trying to tie it in, but I'm so flustered right now because of the Cyber Monday event for Rosetta Stone ad that's on this page. No, seriously. There are a team of neuroscientists at the University of Pennsylvania and Friedberg University that are using video games where people go through virtual towns, basically just delivering. It sounds like they're using fucking Animal Crossing. But I mean, they're going around and delivering stuff in these locations in the game. But they're looking at how the brain encodes spatial information to form, location tags for memories. And basically, there's actually a mental technique. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of something called the Mind Palace. Basically, where for you to remember certain information, you visualize rooms in a palace. And it's using spatial mapping to instead trigger a memory. And it sounds like that this is sort of what they're doing. But they're also using this more as a study for epilepsy, which is very interesting. They're basically trying to find direct neural evidence that memory tags information based on where and when they were formed, so that you access the memory by remembering that situation. And I know for me in particular, and I know I haven't been like overly verbal on this, but at the end of January, I was diagnosed with autism. I'm gonna go repeat myself a bajillion times and kill people. No, that doesn't happen. The whole thing too is that it's actually been how I remember a lot of stuff is by remembering visually where I was, what I did. I couldn't remember the name of this one shop, for the record, until I was standing at IKEA facing the direction that the shop was in, and then I remembered the name of it, for example. So it's definitely got a bit of a definite interest. I mean, we're talking about that Mind Palace technique having been a mental memory building tool that's been in existence since before the current era. It's been in existence for centuries, for thousands of years. So the fact that they're putting using a video game to actually test how the brain maps this information and using this technique in a visual manner I think it's a pretty neat thing, honestly. So
nice.
Yeah.
Game's doing good. I appreciate a story like that after the fuckery we had a couple stories ago. So.
Well, and there's another thing, too, that they were... and I'm just going to read this because it is kind of technical, but I'm going to quote it because It says, during navigation, neurons in the hippocampus and neighboring regions can often represent the patient's virtual location within the town, kind of like a brain GPS device. These so-called place cells are perhaps the most striking example of a neuron that encodes an abstract cognitive representation. So basically, where they're visualizing themselves in their game environment is where their mind is visualizing the data that they're researching too. So again, there's a tie between how we think, what we remember, and how we access our memories. I think it's fantastic that they're doing this. And hi, Sanrio.
Kitty.
No, she's in the living room.
She's getting a little more friendly during the show. It's
Yeah.
good. All right. Anyhow, let's move on. Dark Sakura is going to open up the mailbag. Mailbag at orangelaunchradio.com is the place to send emails. And I think it was a little bit lonely in there this week, but at least there was one, right?
Yeah, and I think though that there was only one. So I'll read it. Hello, Olaries. I have a fairly decent income, and the purchase of both systems really hit my savings hard. I can see why most everyone will only get one of either the PS4 or the Xbox One. I think they are both solid and with good games, but I like the games on the Xbox One a little better. I think I can sum up my comparison of the systems with an analogy. The PlayStation is like someone handing out candy to everyone in the form of a roll of Mentos. The Xbox is like someone grabbing handfuls of candy and throwing them into a crowd. So it's like Mardi Gras. Enjoy and remember to brush your teeth. Rababa.
Yes, sir. I will brush my teeth.
I love Rababa.
I wish I could have been in the situation where I could buy both consoles this year. If I wasn't in debt after my last Disneyland trip, I would.
I'd like to be in the position where
year.
I can just go to Disneyland.
Soon.
Yeah.
All right. Mailbag at orangelaunchradio.com if you want to make some crazy analogies on the show in the future. It would be awesome. Mailbag at orangelaunchradio.com. Now is the part of the show where we get a little bit angry. Even though, there's been a lot of happy stuff tonight, we have to balance that with some anger and rawr because FUs of the week.
Oh, this is bad. Here is justice. Here is punishment. This is fucked up.
I am actually not very angry today, except for, the usual stuff. So yeah, I guess I'm pretty angry. Not really. I'm angry on behalf of Becky. I'm very glad that I did not get hired where she is employed at, and I cannot go into more detail because I was advised of a lot in confidence. But fuck that place. Fuck it a lot.
If that's it.
Oh, and also, fuck bitch face Vicky, who was my ex-boss, who sold the company to the current place for, and I heard about this, so again, not something I can prove and just nail her ass to the wall about, but for apparently bad-mouthing me to the current owner of the company because she couldn't handle. She thinks I was trying to ruin her business. You know what? If I was trying to ruin your business, it would have been gone before you sold it. You didn't change your passwords. Duh.
All right, Loki.
Fuck you, Rob, for not playing Grand Theft Auto 5 yet. It's only $39.99 on Amazon.
Really? On PS3?
On PS3.
F you to Loki for trying to get me to spend more money when I already spent too much on goddamn Steam sales. But at least all the Steam games are really good. I can't be too upset. Jason.
I was going to say that I'm happy little bunny this week, and that's mostly true, but amusingly and perhaps not at all surprisingly enough to last week's FU, I'm having a weird snafu with the parking garage that I'm in right now, and people are being very silly in blaming me for something. I'm sure there's a dresser or something at the end of my parking spot, and people are telling me to move the extra 3 inches in. That dresser is not ours. It's not part of our unit. So I need to figure out whose it is so I can actually pull in the whole way to the parking lot.
All right.
Which, San Francisco type parking, you can understand how being even that much further away from your normal spot would be detrimental, admittedly.
Parking in San Francisco, oh my god, terror. Terror.
Yes.
All right.
F you to terror.
Just a couple more stories for you guys. Loki.
Speaking of terror, Lindsay Lohan.
No.
Segue of the year goes to...
Lindsay Lohan is now allegedly suing Rockstar Games over GTA 5 because there is, the whole game takes place in like a Hollywood environment, and there's different celebrities and stuff that you run into, and they act very cliche like some of these celebrities might. But she thinks that one of those characters is directly based off of her. Good luck with that, because no.
Don't we have like laws for parody,
It's
and
absolutely
especially if you're
parody,
a public
and there's
figure?
not a character that's just exactly like her. It's all of the different female celebrities that are. I don't know.
On the flip side, how much do we actually believe that Lindsay Lohan would be suing a freaking video game? I mean, really?
And besides that, parody is protected.
I just want to make sure this news isn't coming from Kotaku, is it?
I don't
It
know.
sounds like the type of story they'd write.
I don't know if it's better or worse.
Oh, never mind.
It's coming from TMZ.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Well, it's just probably why everyone doubted the
It's about the same level.
death reporting yesterday, too.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if TMZ reported it, Loki, it must be true. So,
Yes, she's claiming that. I love that. I'm going to direct quote this because of their wording. Claiming that video game honchos jacked her image without her permission.
Who uses honcho anymore?
Apparently, somebody does. Some TMZ staffer.
well, whatever to that. Good luck, Lindsay Lohan, and
Yeah,
good luck,
seriously.
TMZ. You're both going to need it. All right. Also, good luck to all of you that were awaiting this new console. This actually sounded really awesome, and I was looking forward to this. I was hoping to maybe pick one up at some point, but it's going to have to wait till next year because the Retron 5 console, or the Retro N, I think Retron's a better name, but Retro N or whatever, the Retro N5 console has been delayed to the first quarter of 2014. If you did not know what this was the system that would play Game Boy Advance games, Super Nintendo games, Genesis games, NES games, and Famicom games all in one, hence the number 5. And it had like an HDMI out, so it would make it work on newer TVs. That's pretty awesome. And it's been delayed because of faulty pins discovered in some packaged units. Well, at least they're doing the right thing and pulling it and fixing the problem as opposed to selling some crap units. So, unfortunately, if you were hoping to get one on its release day of December 10th, too bad. You won't. All right. There it is. That's it for the news we had in our show roll tonight. But we are going to open up the Skype
We're
line.
actually kind of on schedule, too, now.
Yeah, we made up the time there in Part B. Good. Are you okay, Alan? Oh, I thought he fell. I thought he tripped. Didn't it sound like he tripped in there? A little bit. Oh, I was like, oh, my God. I have to call 911 mid-show. All right. 1-877-GAME-OLR is the number, or you can call us on Skype. Orange Lounge Radio, all one word, is the place to give us a call if you want to be on the show to talk about whatever we talked about tonight, or maybe something that we missed. Who knows? But while we wait for the calls to come in, Loki, I'll quickly call on you for any last-minute stories, and I'll go to our Twitter as well for any Twitter topics at twitter.com/OLR.
I just want to mention again, because I do like Just Cause, and because the multiplayer, seriously, the videos in the multiplayer look fucking crazy. So if you're interested, Just Cause 2, it's like $2.99 right now on Steam. Totally worth it. And then if you want to get into the Just Cause multiplayer beta, because it's launching final pretty soon, it's www.jc-mp.com. And I believe it's www.jc.mp.com/keys will get you a Steam key. You just have to log in with your Steam ID and register an account on that website.
All right, enjoy taking that check to the bank.
1,000 play. Well, it's free. It's 1,000 players they had tested at one time. It's ridiculous.
All right, I got to go to the phones because it's lighting up. So, hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
The one and only person in the chat room, the fastest internet ever. It's Ranma.
Internets. How you doing, Rama?
I'm good. How about you, good sir?
I'm great, and I'm realizing with all the conventions you go to, I think I need to send you some of my balls.
Exactly. I would use some of your balls and spread the love around.
Spread my balls all over. That sounds like fun.
We'll just take Rob's balls and throw them at everyone.
Actually, to be fair, they're not actually my balls. They're Grandpa's balls.
Yeah.
He gave them all to me.
Rob, I just want you to know, you should be thankful that Mako isn't listening right now because she would be squeeing over the fact that she gets to play with your balls.
Hopefully she'll hear it on the podcast feed.
Well, it's a good thing they're not sweaty balls.
If you missed the first part of the show, Grandpa Matt from Horde House got a bunch of little hacky sacks with the VOG logo and website URL printed on them as giveaways for BlizzCon. Well, he only gave about half of them away, so now we're gonna pass them on to other VOG hosts and so forth to hand them out at later conventions. So when we talk about our balls, they are balls, and they're kind of squishy. They're fun to play with.
And our balls
Yes.
have balls.
Anyhow, I'm sure you didn't call in just to talk about balls. What is on your mind?
That's what you... Sorry.
How do you know I didn't call?
Well, surprise me. Then let's talk balls.
No. Did not come to talk balls. A couple
bummer.
of things I want to talk about from tonight's discussion.
Sure.
Now, I understand that OLR is a place where every person has their voice.
Yep.
Now, in response to that one person who wrote in about how you guys are being biased towards one console,
Yes. And
shit happens.
Shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, on our podcast, we talk about different things, but sometimes we get on one topic or one company for a while, and it's like, well, that's what everybody is talking about. Just because we're talking about it as well, that does not mean what we're saying is the same as everybody else.
Right. And I do want to remind you, it wasn't just one person. I only read one thing on the air.
Yeah. And one thing is that everyone gets their turn in the barrel. So for that point, for a while, it was Xbox One's turn to be in the barrel. That's how the news goes.
Yeah, I think that's very true. The same thing happens in politics, right? You know, sometimes it's the red team, or sometimes it's the blue team, or sometimes it's all of them. Honestly, so you know, it just kind of depends on what the public eye is watching.
Yes, like for example, when Heroes of Cosplay was on TV, all the blogs, all the podcasts, that's what all everybody was talking about was Heroes of Cosplay, and then we're talking about it, but we're like, yeah, we watch it only because I'm drinking when I'm watching it, and I'm giving my personal spin on it. So it's a lot more entertaining as comparing to what everybody else is saying about the show.
Yeah, I saw that there was some, because you know everything's got to have an internet petition these days, and there's some internet petition going around to make it fairly represent cosplay, and I was kind of like, well, then it wouldn't really be. I mean, it's TV, right? Funny enough, I don't know if you heard the interview with Matt, but we were joking at the end there about his time on the America's Worst Driver, and it was just TV. It was a TV show.
All right, the fact that you brought up there as a petition, I wanted to put my headset down and just start falling over with laughter because no matter how well you try to put a positive spin on cosplay, as soon as it hits TV, it's nothing but drama.
Right.
And people are complaining about how it's going to wreck the community. No, you just brought everybody together.
You know what? If somebody did a reality show about Orange Lounge Radio, there'd be drama.
Oh my God, the shit talking.
Right? Like that, because that's what TV does, and that's what would happen. Even though, you know what, we all get along mostly when it comes to, no, for real, we all get along great when it comes to, you know, time to do the show.
I wouldn't be able to run for president.
Do we have our disagreements behind the scenes? Sure, once in a while, but they're disagreements among friends.
No, we don't.
If you don't, shut
What are you
up.
talking about?
What are you talking about? You don't know shit.
Bitch. I'm totally judging you.
No, in all seriousness, like any argument we have behind the scenes is like I think if any friendship goes forever with no disagreements, it's like that's almost boring.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
But also, on the same token, when you're arguing, it kind of brings the friendship stronger because you got different points of view that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And then when you're tired of arguing, you look at Jamie like, "You want a drink? Let's have a drink."
That's right. That's right. I had 7 last night.
Any problem can be solved with liberal amounts of booze.
So you know what? I like that as a great response to, you know, just the people that felt a little bit like that maybe picked on in their fandom or whatever from last week's show. Is just like, you know, hey, let's fight it out, then have some drinks.
Exactly. And Rob, even though you said you were like the only gay nerd in your town, I feel you. I felt like I was the only black nerd in my town. I'm like, I'm the only one that's renting anime. Is it just me, or, you know?
It's definitely not just you.
I know. I figured that out like about a couple of years later. I'm like, I find another guy. I'm like, I'm not the only one. I feel so. I feel better about myself now.
Right. It's awesome. Yeah, I know. And now I feel so silly. It's like, oh, I know tons of gay nerds. It's awesome. But like in the past, it was always like, God, I feel so alone, and I don't know anything about fashion, and I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. And thank God I was wrong. So,
True that.
All right. Well, take care, Ramen. Thanks so much for the call. It was a good one.
Hey, no problem.
As
And
usual.
by the way, just because I have a GameStop Power-Ups rewards card, that doesn't mean you get to fully judge me.
Oh, snap. All right. No judgment
Ranchan?
happening here.
Ranchan,
Yeah.
you know what I am totally not doing right now?
Not judging me, but I will say
No,
this
I'm not judging you. I'm just not judging you.
Let me just say this and I'll get out of here. Like I said
yeah.
on Bobby's show, when you guys find out that I actually paid for a membership for the Power Pro rewards, y'all can come to my house, kick my ass, take all my consoles, and leave. At that point, I no longer deserve to be a gamer.
I'll hold you to that because I want some new consoles.
That's the main reason why I called in to put it on public record.
Sounds good. Take care,
Yeah.
buddy. Anime Jam Session Tuesday nights here at VOG. Listen.
Got that right.
All right. Take care, buddy.
All right, bye.
1-877-GAME-OLR or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. But we do have another call coming in, so let's get to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Kai Judo.
Hey, Kai Judo. What's on your mind, buddy?
And, you always say this is the show where every gamer has a voice. And I just want to voice my opinion on this whole supposed console war.
Do it.
It can be said that I'm more on the side of PlayStation 4. Like, I'll admit that, like, right away.
Uh-huh.
But it's not so much where it's, for me, it's not really Sony versus Microsoft. It's really their policies that really piss me off. I feel that, I've been gaming for a long time. I mean, since the early 80s, I've been gaming. And I just see a trend happening that I don't like in gaming, which, it actually prevents me from playing a lot of games these days, just for the simple fact that a lot of stuff is becoming, I call it pay as you play, with all this microtransaction shit. Microsoft is pushing that, all this crap about, where you can lend your games and who you can lend it to, the crappy, the freaking codes that they give you. So that, you can't sell your game at a GameStop. Not that I do that. Like, usually I like to just buy games brand new anyway.
Online Pass?
But,
is that what you're talking about?
Online Pass. Yeah, I just hate the fact that, like, it seems like, if you're the type of person where you trade your games or you might not have internet access or whatever, it just seems like they're, like, cutting those people out. Like, I'm like, there's still people out there that don't have all these luxuries, and, like, for you to just cut those people out, like, it really just rubs me the wrong way. So, like, I've been, like, anti-Microsoft for the longest time now. I mean, I haven't even checked into Xbox Live in I don't know how many days. I think since this past summer. I'm doing like my own type of little boycott that you could call it against certain, not just Microsoft, but I mean a lot of the different game developers and companies that they do things that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I mean, the list is huge. I mean, there's so many things that's going on right now.
Well, let me ask this question, Kaijudo, because the online pass thing, thankfully, we're seeing that go away in a major way. Most of the companies that enacted it, which to be fair, Sony was one of them with their first party games. Most of them that enacted the online pass have since sunsetted it. I think there's only a couple stragglers out there. And to Microsoft's credit, they never enacted the online pass on their first party games. Now, we would have all raked them over the coals if they had, because they were already charging a fee for Xbox Live, so that that's neither here nor there. But I guess my point I'm trying to make with this is when a company comes out and says, you know what, we were wrong, we made the wrong decision, which I think Microsoft kind of did since E3, is that not what you want, or what is it? What can the gaming companies do to win your fandom back?
Just pretty much, I would say, as far as when it comes to lending your games out, trading your games, like I said, people like to go into GameStop and sell them, whatever. As far as that type of stuff goes, don't try to put all these policies to get extra money out of people that do that. Like, let people do what they've been doing for years. Don't interfere with that. Sell your game for $59.99. As once the person buys it, that should be your income right there. You shouldn't charge people again to trade something in or whatever the other crap that they're doing out there.
Let me buy my shit and own my shit. Yeah. When I pay $60 for your game, I own that game.
Right, and especially with like I said, with these microtransactions. I mean, everybody everybody's pretty much getting their hands dirty into something. Like even Steam, I would even go after Steam and say that a few things that they're doing, I don't necessarily agree with. This, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they have this new thing now where it's the early access. Have you guys seen this?
Yes, I have. In fact, I actually have a game with early access. The
I bought into that too. I actually have 2 games that are early access. That they pretty much, I mean, from what I can see, they look like they're like completed games. But when you look at it, you're like, what the hell's going on now? Like, we're actually paying now for incomplete games. like these are like alpha games. They're not even in beta.
You know what's
Minecraft.
You know what's interesting though about that, Kaijudo, is I think Kickstarter showed that there was a market for that.
Yeah, true.
So it is weird. It's weird to think that we are in that place with gaming, but I think a lot of it, and I've expressed this before, and I think it's important to note. Let's not forget, Microsoft realized they made a mistake there, and they're trying to correct it for better or for worse. I think that's important to note. But as far as like the Steam stuff goes, and I remember saying this back when we all thought that this was the way Microsoft was going to go before they reverse. I sort of said, you know what? I think it really depends how much they're going to charge for a game. And I still kind of stand by that, because I would have been totally fine with Microsoft's new policies if they were only charging $20-$30 for the game. Was that what was going to bring the price down from this $60 limit, which, let's be real, is still a little high? One of the perks of Steam, and one of the reasons why people use Steam sale, and being able to buy games for literally $1. I bought DLC Quest for $1. And so it's kind of one of those, all right, so it's a digital copy and I'll never be able to sell it back. It cost me $1. And I'm like totally okay with that.
Yeah, I just finished getting all the DLC that I needed for Skyrim, and also picking up Morrowind on Steam. So I like Steam for that. But I mean, like I said, it just looks like to me. I just don't like the direction that things seem to be going. And the reason why I'm so anti Microsoft is just for the simple fact that inside me, even though I'm pretty sure that I'm the little man here, it may never be effective, but for me, it's like I feel, okay, Microsoft is kind of leading this charge. If I can find some way to not really to make people go my way or see things my way, but if I could find some way to just pretty much let them know that we don't agree with this or whatever, maybe they'll start to change their policies like they did with the Xbox One, how they reverted everything back. Yeah. And I'm just hoping that if more people hop on that and more people get on Microsoft and all the other people that are doing these types of things, then maybe we'll be able to get some balance. I just want some balance in the gaming world. It doesn't seem like it's that. It just seems like pretty soon they're just gonna walk all over the little man, and there isn't much that can be done unless us as gamers, we stop with all this console war crap and we see things for what they are. We tell them, hey, we don't like microtransactions, or maybe you can fix it. Stuff like that.
Let me get this out. Let me get this out, Kaijudo, before we let you go, because I think this is important to say, because there's going to be people sitting at home or in the office listening to this podcast right now that is thinking, this guy is crazy. This guy needs to let it go. This guy has too much hatred for. There's people sitting there thinking that right now.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah. But, I come across it all the time.
Sure,
yeah.
But I think there's a good comment in the chat room that kind of plays into both sides of this here, and I think this is important. This is from Chris109 in the chat room at live.vognetwork.com saying, yeah, but the damage has been done and it takes time for the wound to heal. And I think, in a way, whether you personally listening to the show think Kaijudo is overreacting or not, I can certainly think, I've gone to a place and I've got bad service, or a company did something to really irritate me, and it was a while before I tried that company again. You know what I mean? But yeah. I did go back at some point, and either I learned why I stopped doing it in the first place, or I was like, all right, things are better. Things have changed. I'm happier now. Do you think, Kaijudo, that maybe that's what's going to happen, is that if Microsoft is a little more transparent in some of these policies and kind of gets that community that they've lost, that tapped into the community, if they can get some of that back, that maybe we can heal these wounds?
Well, me personally, I'm not, don't get me wrong. Like me, I've already made my decision. I mean, my boycott is going to stick. I mean, I have to do what I have to do for myself, basically. Like for me, I don't want to live in that type of gaming world. So the games that I choose to purchase, the companies that I choose to invest in, they don't do any of that right now. So that's what I'm doing for myself. Like I said, I'm not out here to try and make people see things my way, but I just want people to be aware that the gaming world as it is now is pretty screwed up, and I'm just saying that people need to be aware of that. Stop with the console war stuff. It's not about Xbox versus PlayStation 3 for some of us out there. For some of us, it's more about, hey, don't cut the little man out. Remember what gaming was about originally. It was originally about fun. I mean, of course, you have companies who they got to make money. Everybody says it all the time, but I mean, it was always fun. Trading with your friends and all this stuff. And now it's just becoming way too political and way too out of hand with all this crap. So that's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, I think you make a good point at the end of the day. Is it's just play the games, because there's a lot of good stuff out there right now. So,
right.
Kaijudo, thank you for the call and for the perspective that could be challenging for some. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Take care, buddy. All right, 1-877-GAME-OLR, our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. Interesting. I just, I have to admit, I'm kind of like, for me, it's like when Microsoft releases that game I'm going to have to play, I have to kind of let that past go. But I can understand, too, the whole, when I really feel like I've been pissed off, I'm not about to throw $500 at a company anytime soon. It's very... very tricky. Very tricky.
Better be pissed off without the system, or buy it and get pissed on.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? All right, let's see if we get any other calls. I'll keep the lines open for a little bit here while we do some Twitter topics. 1-877-GAME-OLR, or a username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. Act Deft, says in the chat room, Kaijudo may hate Microsoft, but at least he's not being a dick about it. He was very professional.
Very reasonable.
He said, this is why. This is my point. Whether you think I'm crazy or not, this is how it is. Thought that was a very well-composed call. Let's see, going to Twitter. Oops, sorry. A more professional host would have had Twitter open already, but I didn't. Let's see if I can get to some of the app messages here. All right, here we go. SSJ100 Matt tweets us at twitter.com/OLR. The community at Overclocked Remixed released a Sonic CD remix album. Covers both the Japanese and better North American soundtracks. I love that he slipped that in there. And better. Speaking of gaming wars that will never end, there you go. That's a class one. But check that out. SonicCD.ocremix.org. You know what? No matter which one you prefer, it sounds like there'll be a remix album for you. And let's go have drinks. Spazinator wants to know, when we talk Steam sale here at OLR, is it, quote, yay Steam sale, or, quote, god damn it, a Steam sale? It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. No, don't get me excited. I mean, I love games, and I get excited to play games, especially when the stuff I really want to see go on sale. I think that's what it is for me. It's like, yay, maybe this game I've really wanted to play, but I wasn't really convinced until it drops in price. Like, I get excited for that, but then where I get pissed off is that, I bought that and 5 other games.
What's kind of
I wasn't expecting to buy.
There's something that's actually kind of a kick in the nuts with Steam, and that's you put stuff on the wish list, and if it's generally on sale, they email you. But I don't think I've seen any emails for my wish list stuff for these for the autumn sales or winter sales. What the hell am I saying?
The sale for no reason.
Oh, it is autumn sale,
right? It's autumn sale. Yeah. There'll be a winter sale later. That's for Christmassy time. 1-877-GAME-OLR, our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. While I get a few more tweets in here, Marcus Boy saying, I have a feeling tonight's OLR is going to be awesome. Yay! Well, it was because you plugged it, so I appreciate it. It was a good show tonight. We're having fun. You having fun, Jason?
Absolutely.
Worth the drive from San Francisco? Next time we have an interviewee in San Francisco, I'm gonna have you chauffeur him up here.
I can do that, or I can provide better quality to the individual, and with my microphone setup and everything else.
All right, well, figure it out.
Flexibility is wonderful.
Figure it out. You're gonna be our man on the street, running up and down the Bay Area, where all our guests usually
Just don't
are.
put me in Oakland, and I'll be happy.
We'll have Extra handle Oakland. That's where he lives. 1-877. He can handle it. 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. What the hell is this tweet? I've got to read this tweet because the tweet goes to some health company and it says, I was a patient at OLR. I had the best care when I had my appendectomy. Thank you. Happy holidays. Thank God this poor woman wasn't in the presence of Loki playing Surgeon Simulator, or her appendectomy may not have gone so well. Right, Loki? How the hell did we get that tweet?
Spam.
I guess probably OLR's some other surgery company or something. I don't know.
Laparoscopic.
Removing appendix.
Well, no, I'm thinking of what the OLR.
Laparoscopic is when they. That's how.
No, but I'm thinking the L was for laparoscopic.
Oh, maybe the OLR. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Something I fucking don't know.
If it was spam, then I just gave a plug to something here on air.
I just went to that account, and their second most recent retweet in this case, but their second most recent post is retweeting a spaceship blunt.
Wow.
And they retweet a lot of picture stuff.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see, some other tweets. Flacco Jones reminding us that the Bioshock triple pack is only $15 at Amazon. Damn you, Flacco Jones. Damn you.
Got it.
All right.
Long time ago.
I guess that's it. We don't have... Oh, one more call. One call coming in at the fucking buzzer when I was about to close it down. But here we go. One more call. Hi, you're on Orange Sounds Radio. Who's this?
Hey, this is Raging Eater.
Hey, Rage. We see you.
Hi.
We see you. How you doing, Rage Eater?
You need to turn down your computer, unless that's the only way you hear us.
Just a little bit. What's up, buddy?
Well, I wanted to give or make a somewhat serious call. This week.
You don't make serious calls.
All right. Well, now all I have. Truth be told, I only have heard the topic because I was dealing with my cat at the time. But I believe the three of you, or four of you, were talking about someone linking mental illness in video games to violence, and and now. I'm going to open up here a little bit and talk about something that I generally don't talk about.
Okay.
I'm mentally ill myself. I was back in 1998. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, which is also known as PTSD, also known as shell shock.
Okay.
And as a result of between those two diagnoses, I generally have a hard time regulating emotions, and sometimes my behavior as a result can be a little bit off. It can be construed as odd or unusual to someone that may not have to deal with mental illness. Now, that being said, just because someone's mentally ill, regardless of whether they play video games or not, that does not mean they're going to go Norman Bates on someone's ass, or go all Texas Chainsaw Massacre on someone.
No one said that they did.
Well, I don't think we did, but I think the media sometimes gives that perception.
I'm just saying that's what the general. That's what the general perception is in society, is that if someone has mental illness,
that's what we talk about when we talk about the stigma of mental health. That's what's out there. And thank you for opening up about that, Raginator. That's brave of you to say on the show. Yeah. And I'm going to say this: the reality is there's a lot of people like you out there, and it's funny. Even though I'm talking about earlier in the show, I feel like the only gay nerd. I bet you're not the only nerd. Pardon me, but you must be a bit of a nerd if you listen to the show. You're probably by far not the only nerd that suffers from the types of conditions that you're talking about, that you just brought up. And I think mental illness is much more common than sometimes the media and the mass perception often gives it credit for.
But there's also so many variant varieties. And for example, some people who have certain disorders don't consider it to be a mental illness. For example, I may be autistic. I don't consider myself mentally ill. If I had...
Well, and it in a way, and just to kind of, because like people get sick, not mental illness, but physical illness.
Yeah.
People get sick. Is a person with diabetes necessarily consider themselves sick? Not, they're managing, and that's kind of what what happened, right? Am I?
There's a difference because, well, I mean, that the better comparison.
I am not belittling diabetes by any means. My grandma had it and suffered from it and so forth. But I'm just saying, you start to kind of, treat it, and it doesn't. You conduct your day-to-day life managing it.
The difference would be in autism and type 1 diabetes would be closer to each other.
Mm-hmm.
PTSD and type 2 diabetes would be closer to each other as a comparison because something happened that caused this. It's an onset.
Right.
Whereas me, I was born this way.
Right.
So, that being said, I think what they're not also considering is that some of these people who have gone back had much more severe forms of socio disorders. There wasn't one of them actually diagnosed schizophrenic, which means they hallucinate. Schizophrenic is not multiple personality disorder. There are two different things. Some people have complete reactions based on trauma. I know people with PTSD, and I'm talking about like the post-war variety, who a car backfires and they're running for cover.
Right.
That's the type of person I would not want with a gun, for example. That's somebody who I wouldn't want to have access to weapons because I've seen that instant look for panic, look for defense. Sometimes there is that. But when you're, but the average person dealing with depression or dealing with...
And just that you also, I just want to be careful with the broad generalizations because you also would not be the one to say who and who shouldn't.
Exactly.
Right. A professional does this, not you.
Exactly. But my point...
Real quick, Ragenator, sorry, I'll let her finish, and Ragenator will get back to you.
My point on that was saying that if a person is going to have a tendency to go into a defensive mode or to go into some sort of memory regression, you want to watch, but you don't know who everybody is. That's why there has to be better screening. That was my point. Sorry.
No worries. Ragenator, go ahead and get your thought out, and then I have a question for you.
Also, one thing to consider is that, regardless of what diagnosis that someone has, be it PTSD or schizophrenia or this, that, or other, some questions that should be asked is, are they in some form of treatment? Are they seeking one-on-one counseling? Are they seeing psychiatrists, getting medications? Are they taking their medications as prescribed? And that's usually taking this pill or this pill at the right levels, dosages every day, consistently at the right time, so on and so forth. And I mean, if they're not seeking treatments, not taking their medications as prescribed, if they're abusing street drugs or alcohol, then their behavior is going to get far worse. And plus, if you also, one thing to consider is, on top of that, more often than not, the mentally ill is the victim of crimes, rather than the perpetrator. If let's say, hypothetically speaking, I don't know, Sacramento at all, so I don't know what areas of town are the good sites of town, where aren't, where the homeless tend to be, so on and so forth. But if you can think of what area that the homeless and the mentally ill tend to congregate, and you happen to be out on the street up to no good, chances are you're going to probably, if you want an easy mark, you're going to probably go after the people that won't put out much of a fight, which probably will be the mentally ill. So, once in a great while, you'll hear about the guy with schizophrenia that pushed some woman off of a train platform and that woman gets killed, but they're the exception to the rule, not the rule itself.
Right.
And chances are they're that person that didn't take their medication or wasn't managing alcohol, drugs a few hours earlier, or multiple whatever. So
Ragenator, let me ask you this, and then we will, unfortunately, I mean, we can make a whole show out of this topic, but we do have to wrap up for the night. But Ragenator, let me ask you this, because you did share with us some pretty private information about your life and so forth, and there is that stigma out there that, you know, video games are bad and video games make you want to do bad things. How do you think, Ragenator, maybe you don't have an answer for this, but I want to try and ask it anyway. Ragenator, how do you think video games help you?
Well, in the times that I'm stressed out, you know, or depressed, you know, let's say I'm feeling severe depression symptoms, or there's some kind of stimulus outside that's really agitating me one way or another, and I use my video games as my primary coping mechanism to deal with the symptoms. Like at least prior to my PS3 being stolen, I would either play Flower or Super Stardust HD, and obviously Flower is a very relaxing game.
Yeah, very much.
But regardless of the game, I'll focus in on that game for a while, and for all intents and purposes, while I'm playing that game, the rest of the world and my own thoughts don't exist. I'm just focusing on completing the level, being the AI, doing whatever. And after a while, things go back to normal, and I use air quotes. Well, normal for me,
right? Sure.
And once in a great while, that doesn't work 100% of the time. Once a great while is so bad that I do need to be hospitalized. Case in point, February 2nd of last year, I did have to go to the hospital for a suicide attempt. But
sorry to hear that.
But generally speaking, the video games do work. They help me focus in something else besides the symptoms. So.
Well, thank you for sharing some very deeply personal stuff with us.
Sure, no problem.
But again, to tie it back to something I was talking about at the beginning of the show, sometimes it's about getting outside that bubble, and there might be people out there that don't kind of realize it, and so maybe now they're thinking about it because you said something about it here on the show. So I really appreciate you opening up. And how dare I suggest that you aren't capable of making a serious call, because it was a very serious call, and thank you for that perspective. No, don't I feel like a jackass?
No, definitely. Thank you, though. But I mean, and this is one thing that I think everybody has a responsibility to do, and that's educate yourself. And people don't often think about educating themselves on something that's outside their comfort level, their comfort zone.
Walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, because at least at the end of the day, if nothing else, you have their shoes. You have their shoes, and you're a mile away. All right.
Yeah, but that was thank you for giving some incentive for education as well.
Appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
All right, Ragenator, I gotta end up the show. Thank you, buddy. Have a good one.
Sure, no problem. Have a nice night.
All right, you too. Props to Ragenator, says ActF in our chat room. There we go. All right. Whew. And to think, I almost didn't take that call because we were on our way out of here. But now we are definitely on our way out.
Fingers were hovering over the alt
F4
just by time.
I know. I was like, am I going to take it? Am I going to take it? All right, we're going to take it. So, and it was a really, really insightful call. Heavy stuff on tonight's show. My God, we covered a lot of good stuff tonight. This was a damn good show. This was one for the Emmys. I don't know if they give Emmys to podcasts, but if they did, I'd be submitting this one. Yeah.
I have one last fun, silly thing.
Okay, good, please.
Has anybody ever actually made it to the bottom of the Steam sale page?
Yeah.
And you've seen the fact that it's upside down?
Yep.
Yeah.
You've noticed the fact that it says spring?
Yeah, no, I did.
Instead of autumn. And if you actually use that navigation, your experience will be temporarily upside down as well. On some pages, not all. You go all the way to the bottom, you hit featured items, you get the featured item pages where autumn is on bottom and everything is upside down. You scroll to the top, spring sale is oriented right side up. Incredibly silly, but hilarious. And I figure most people just scroll down until they see a game. And then as soon as the game stopped being listed by alt-tab, multi-4.
Click the button, didn't get a Steam card, didn't care.
Exactly.
All right. Well, and then for Australia, since they're all upside down and it's spring there, that's what it's a joke. It's a joke.
Our chat system at work, we have a plugin for it, so anybody that's even visiting anybody that's located as in the southern hemisphere, that we rotate their avatars upside down.
That's amazing. I love it.
And it's called the Aussies plugin.
All right. Jason, since you do have the mic, I want to thank you for being here on the show yet again.
Always.
I know you're going to be a familiar face while you're in town over the next month, but it's great to have you here. And I guess I'll ask you if you have any final thoughts before we see you next week.
I'll be continuing to say this because we're not even here yet, but have a mighty fine holiday season.
Well, it already started, if you think about it, with the Thanksgiving already. So there you go.
And schools are going to start letting out real fast here, and new systems and all the fancy, exciting hullabaloo.
All right. Loki, your final thought tonight.
So they're giving away some codes for Ms. Explosion Man and the Maw and Aqua and stuff at McDonald's.
Really?
It's part of a promotion, with Xbox One and stuff.
Chicken McNuggets all week long.
This is why you're fat.
It's like when Taco Bell was giving away the PS4s.
I did like... never mind.
I have a couple final thoughts here real quick. And one, it looks like some of you chatters are having a spirited debate right now. So don't forget, like Rama and I were talking about earlier, go have a drink at the end of the day. I know you will. And then my other final thought is... I neglected to plug this earlier in the show because I was trying to speed along with everything else. But I do want to mention, it's kind of an additional housekeeping thing, and I'll remind you guys at the top of the show next week. There is a new raffle at vognetwork.com, and if you would like to enter to win a $20 gift card for your choice, either Xbox Live, Nintendo Network, Steam, PlayStation Network, or iTunes. I think those are the 5. You get to win your choice. Check out all the details, vognetwork.com/raffle. All you have to do, participate. And by listening to OLR, you've participated and have a chance to win. So check that all out. And congratulations to Fifth Dream, who won the very first VOG Network raffle. We gave away Cards Against Humanity, and he got it. So good job.
Just the single game,
like
or the
starter,
big box?
not the big, but the starter set thing. That's kind of, I guess,
I don't know
harder
if Bobby
to find
noticed, but I saw on Reddit, apparently, if you cut the top of the box,
yes, but that's the whole shebang.
Box,
that's not what we gave away. We gave away like an original
nice.
starter. Yeah. So, lastly but not leastly, Dark Stalker, your final thought tonight.
I'm going to learn archery next summer.
You're going to be just like was it Gina Davis. She was the actress from Thelma and Louise who ended up taking up archery.
Okay,
I
have a hunting.
that out there.
I have a hunting bow that I'd like to learn how to shoot.
You'll be like Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games.
That movie was so fucking long. It was just like
it was so
long.
It was so good though.
I was shocked that wasn't the first thing you said.
I know, right?
I need to borrow your books.
They're on a Kindle, unfortunately. But maybe if you ask Alan really nicely and bat your eyelashes, he'll let you borrow it for a week so you can read them.
I just will put it on my
Give
Kindle
access
then.
to
But
the
I
internet.
like physical books, so.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Also, because I always like to say this at the end of the show, I really want to thank you guys for listening to Orange Lounge Radio and participating with the show this week, whether you were here live at vognetwork.com or you listen on the podcast feed or Stitcher or YouTube or whatever. We just want to thank you for sticking with it all the way to the end of the show. There were some tough topics tonight and a lot of variety of stuff, and here you are. You made it all the way through the show. We really appreciate your support.
I loved the chat room, by the way, because I love intelligent debate, and oh my god, they were giving it to me, and I never get that from my mother.
You look like you're about ready to smoke a cigarette. Like, that was a good debate.
Honestly,
not that I'm endorsing smoking.
For the record, I find mental stimulation a lot more encouraging, a lot more of a turn on than.
Oh, well, alrighty then.
You know what I mean? It's. I find it to be a lot more satisfying than other things.
If you found yourself stimulated by tonight's Orange Lounge Radio, then we want to invite you guys to please spread the word about the show. And what are you laughing about over there?
That was not to waste the segue, but the tonal aspect of doing that, carrying it over from what was going on to your normal outro was phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
Literally, it was very good, and then I broke
pat myself on the back. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Okay. That's it. We're on out of here. If you like the show, please tell a friend or 5 about the show. Help us spread the word. Nice reviews on iTunes, Stitcher
Happy
Radio.
Hanukkah.
They go a very long way, and we really appreciate it. Happy whatever you want-to over the next few
The thing
weeks.
to say is Chag Sameach.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy Hanukkah.
Whatever it is you want to celebrate, have a good one.
5th night tonight.
And that's it. We'll see you next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into VogNetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or VOG Network, but you know they were all still true. See you next week.